hit subscribe. Subscribe to my guy, Uncle D. Tell him Big Bad sent you.
George Spurling. I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas, an advocate for black men, largely because I am a black man. I'm a black father. I have black sons. Hey, man, I do what I do.
Welcome to the broadcast, everybody. My name is Dennis Spurling, and I'd like to thank you for joining me here on the Dennis Spurling podcast. And today's broadcast is When Stupid Meets Stupid. Black woman shoots white man in Walmart over parking spot. Somebody type stupid in the chat room. Okay, and the most important thing that we need to know about this broadcast is that a man is dead after a Walmart parking lot dispute in North Lauderdale, Florida. And now the whole country is looking at one question: was it murder or was it self-defense? And according to the reports, this happened on Tuesday, June 30th, 2026 at a Walmart parking lot because located at 7900 West McNabb Road in Fort Lauderdale. And the victim has been identified as 62-year-old military veteran Bart DeGulli. I can't say the name. Bart DeGullimo. I'm just calling him Bart. Mr. Bart of Lauderdale. And he was shot after what investigators say began as a parking space dispute and later died from his injuries. The shooter hasn't been publicly identified. What we do know is that she remained at the scene, cooperated with the detectives, and claimed self-defense. And as the report's circulating, no charges have been filed yet, and the case is still under investigation by the Broward Sheriff's Office, with the Broward State Attorney's Office expected to review it. Now, I'm going to state the obvious that most people are thinking but won't say it. It's stupid to get shot over a parking space. And it's even more stupid to shoot somebody over a parking space. And I know what some of you are saying. Uncle D, you should have more respect for the dead. You should say rest in peace, and I can say rest in peace, but I can also say that that was a stupid thing to die over. And both things can be true at the same time. A man has lost his life, and that's tragic, but it's also true that nobody should be dying over a parking spot outside Walmart. You shouldn't even be fighting over a parking spot outside Walmart. And I think that's fair to say. I think if the world was filled with people who just use common sense and instead of feeling like they knew everything, we wouldn't have a disagreement on this subject. Now, the other thing is, not only is it stupid to get shot over a parking space, it's also even more stupid to shoot somebody over a parking space. And I know what some of you all are saying, Uncle D, but she was black like you, right? I know, right? She's a black woman and you're black. So you're supposed to be on the black woman's team. Yeah, I understand how the racial team sport works in America. I get that. But being black doesn't mean I have to stop being honest. We can still call out stupid when stupid shows up in a similar skin tone. So let's just start there, okay? Why not just park somewhere else? Why not drive around the lot? Why not go to the back of the parking lot and walk an extra 45 seconds? Okay, how about that? This goes for both parties in this situation. You're not fighting over a parking space, okay? Because that's what you're doing. You're fighting over a parking space. A man is dead, and the future of this woman's life is in the hands of a local prosecutor whose decision to charge her with murder and seek a life sentence depends on how he feels on that day. You see? There's plenty of other stuff in the world to fight over. Even most of that, is let's fight over something else more meaningful, okay? But fighting over a parking space is not something that's, I think it's beneath me. And you all should think it's beneath you either. It's a little piece of pavement outside of Walmart. That's stupid. But no matter how stupid the parties are, because this case involves a black woman and a white man, we have to huddle up in our respective racial corners and support stupid because it matches our skin color. Just like fans in the stand heckling the umpire and the referee in the huddle trying to sway the call. We got people yelling murder. We got people yelling stand your ground. People pretending that they already know the legal answer before the investigation is finished. But really, at the root of it, this is about where stupid meets stupid on the hot summer day in Florida. Look, one of the first lessons I learned as a baby lawyer practicing law in New Orleans, Louisiana, came from a case I had in city court. It was around 2003, 2004. I was appearing in front of an old school white Italian judge. His name is Judge Charles Imbernoni. And the insurance company hired a defense firm. They had sent this young white associate down to handle the defense of this car accident. Long story short, I got a judgment in my client's favor. And instead of first filing a motion for new trial, that young lawyer filed a notice of appeal. And when his appeal was denied, he then tried to come back and file a motion for new trial. And the judge said, you can't do that. It's too late. And in my brief, I pointed out just how stupid it was for him not to simply have read what is written right there in the Louisiana Code of Civil Procedure before filing the appeal. And the judge agreed. So Judge Imbernoni, he's now retired, he had a reputation for being a conservative, defense-oriented style judge. And I knew he probably wanted to side with the defense lawyer if he could, but he couldn't side with stupid. And that was no matter how much a person may want to help you, when you start hanging your reputation and your name on stupid people and the stupid things they do, you make yourself look stupid. And that's why when I talk to young lawyers, I train, because I've trained at least a dozen to 2 dozen. I tell them one of the biggest things you do in litigation is make opposing counsel look stupid. Because if you make them look stupid, nobody with good sense wants to stand next to them. Nobody wants to defend them. Nobody wants to attach their name to foolishness. So, with that being said, all of you who have already gone into your racial corners need to understand something. And a lot of you, both white and black and whatever in between, you look stupid right now. If your first instinct is she's black, so I'm defending her no matter what, you look stupid. If your first instinct is he's white, so she must be guilty, you look stupid. If your first instinct is she said self-defense, case closed, you look stupid. The law doesn't work like that. Facts matter. Timing matters. Distance matters. Reasonableness matters. And in the self-defense case, the final seconds matter more than everybody's racial emotions. Now, what we have here, since I'm going to talk about it, to try to throw some water, cold, ice cold water on this hot flame of racial turmoil that we have going this summer. That seems to be my job. Somebody typed my job in the chat room, right? Let's talk about it, okay? Florida man, somebody typed Florida man. Florida man shot dead after a Walmart parking lot dispute in Fort Lauderdale, North Lauderdale. Now, before we start acting like Florida just invented stupidity, somebody type Florida man in the chat room. I want you to be certain that this isn't the first time, nor will it be the last time that an American got shot and killed over a parking space. Stupid isn't confined to one state. It spreads like herpes. Stupid is not confined to one race, one political party, or one nationality. Americans are getting shot and killed over parking spots all over this great nation of ours. The killings are happening in Georgia, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Missouri, hell, Colorado, my home state, the liberal bastion, the golden state, California, and of course, my beloved adopted state of the great state of Texas. We are just killing people over parking spots everywhere. Everywhere. And when we look at all these cases, the pattern almost always is the same. Somebody gets mad over a parking spot, it escalates, somebody pulls out the strap, and bodies hit the pavement. That's what happens. And so before we treat this Florida case, this Walmart shooting like it's new, a case of stupid, we need to understand that these killings are common in America. Let's talk about it. On Sunday, January 4th, 2026, at 4 p.m., a dad of 3 was shot and killed in a Target parking lot. Somebody typed Target in the chat room, allegedly over a parking spot. This gentleman's name was Matthew Trayvon in Savannah, Georgia, and the shooting happened in the parking lot of Target at 14,000 block of Abercorn Street in Savannah. It was described, Mr. Matthew was shot after the officials described as an argument over his parking space. He was shot by another man, Tyler Edward Lynn, 30 years old, who was arrested and charged with murder and aggravated assault. On Wednesday, June 10th, 2026, it's somewhere between 7:20 and 7:23, a father of 7, all them kids, 7 kids shot and killed in a fight over a parking spot in Germantown, okay? The family says. This was Jerry Fulton in Germantown, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The shooting happened at the 6100 block of Magnolia Street in Germantown in North Philly. And Jerry Fulton, 52, a father of 7, was shot and killed after what his family said was an argument over a parking spot. He was shot by 26-year-old Nico Nichols, who was charged with murder and possession, an instrument of crime, and reckless endangerment of another person. On June 10th. That's when it happened. This is not very long ago. On April 27, 2025 at 9:15, a father of 2 former U.S. military allied for Afghanistan, he was shot over a parking spot in his Texas apartment complex, and his alleged shooter remains free. Shout out to Gen Z Warrior. This gentleman's name was Abdul Rahman Waziri, okay? Happened at Gables at the Richmond apartment complex in West Houston. Somebody typed the SWAT in the chat room. Mr. Abdul was 31. He was 31 with 7 kids. 2 kids, okay? Shot over a parking spot. He was shot by somebody named, allegedly, somebody named Katia Trayvon Boucherie, 31. Who was indicted for murder after initially being released while the investigation was continued. Oh, you understand? Shooting, killing. Shout out to Edward. Another one. Y'all still listening? Look. On Tuesday, June 18, 2024, another Philadelphia man visiting his girlfriend shot after alleged dispute over a parking space. Just look, stupid. Just stupid. The neighbor said that. The neighbor said, this is just stupid. Somebody type stupid in the chat. I'm not the only one saying it's stupid. So this happened at Madison Avenue in Export, Pennsylvania. Daniel Chica, 65, Daniel Chica was visiting his girlfriend when he was shot and killed after what police described as a dispute over a parking space. Matt Miller, 32, was taken into custody after shooting, and though early reports said no charges have been filed as of that night. On August 21st, 2024, at 4:30 p.m., Takeeza Johnson, 49-year-old former Kansas City police officer, shot and killed 71-year-old Ronald Barnett after an argument began when Johnson believed Barnett drove too close to him while he was crossing the crosswalk. The killing happened outside the Walmart Super. He hadn't even parked. He was going in his car, whatever he was doing. So this happened at the Walmart Supercenter at 8600 block of North Boardwalk in Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City Northland in Platte County. Now on Tuesday, June 30th, Tuesday that just passed, A Platte County jury convicted this former officer of second-degree murder and recommended life in prison plus a 15 years for armed criminal action. That's the police. You understand? He wasn't acting as a police at the time. Y'all listening? So this is not uncommon. Another one. In my great state, on Saturday, August 27, 2022 at 3:20 p.m. outside another Walmart. Somebody type Walmart. Walmart, 9460 West Sam Houston Parkway in South Houston, Texas, on Bissonnette. Somebody type that SWAT. That Southwest H-Town. The shooting happened. Christopher David Hernandez allegedly shot the victim multiple times and killed Joshua Lazard following an argument connected to driving and parking. Hernandez was arrested inside the Walmart shortly after the shoot. So he tried to go in there and do some shopping. He was like, look, let me get these Cheez-Its and some of that Bluebell ice cream. And they took, no, come on. I'm going to go through, let me at least get it out the automatic. No, you got to come with us. Anyway, he was charged with murder. He made bond and he went to trial. You understand? He went to trial in 2025. And on March 26, 2025, during the middle of the trial, he cut his ankle monitor off, okay? Didn't appear for the closing statement and the jury verdict and the sentence. They still haven't found him. But the jury still awarded him a life sentence for murder. They convicted him of murder, but he didn't ran off. You see what I'm saying? On Sunday, March 8, 2020, around 6:30 p.m., a man was shot and killed over a parking spot outside the Atlanta Mall. The shooting happened at Lenox Square Mall in Atlanta, Buckhead. Somebody type Buckhead in the chat room. A man named Thune Nguyen, 31 years old from Tennessee, was shot and killed after a dispute over a parking spot by Ricky Lafarge and was later convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. Parking spots. Somebody type parking spots in the chat room. This is what we're doing over parking spots. Somebody type parking spots in the chat room. Parking spaces. I'm not finished. I'm not finished. Do you hear me? I am not finished. Another person got shot. On Sunday, February 17, 2019, former NFL player is fatally shot in a dispute with a neighbor over a parking space. This happened at Eagle Crest High School in Aurora, Colorado. Anthony T.J. Cunningham, former Seattle Seahawks player and assistant principal, was shot to death by his neighbor, Marcus Johnson, after a dispute with a neighbor over a parking space, and he died the next day. Marcus Johnson was charged and later convicted of second-degree murder. How you gonna shoot the assistant principal at the high school? Damn. Somebody type stupid in the chat room. Somebody type stupid in the chat room. I got some more. So on July 19, 2018, outside the Circle K, Circle K is in the running. The Circle K food store on Sunset Point Road in Clearwater, Florida. The shooting happened on July 19, 2018. Marquise McGloxton, somebody type Glock. McGloxton, 28, was shot and killed by Michael Drazier, I think it's Draker, after a confrontation that began over a handicapped parking space. The video of the fatal shooting in dispute. We've seen this. I think we saw this one over a parking space. It was presented to the jury, and the autopsy showed that the victim was turning away when killed by this gentleman. Okay, autopsy evidence became important because it supported the argument that Mr. McGloxton was turning away and disengaging from the conflict or no longer posed an imminent threat when Drazier fired. So Drazier was later convicted of manslaughter and the sentence on October 10th, 2019 to 20 years in prison for the killing of Mr. McGloxton over a parking space. Now, on Saturday, September 4th, 2021, y'all still listening? This is what we doing here in America. We shooting, killing each other over parking space. In Long Beach, somebody type Long Beach, somebody type that Snoop Dogg. Yeah, somebody type dog pound for life. Okay, so on Saturday, September 4th, 2021 at 8 p.m. at the 900 block of Park Circle in Long Beach, California, across the street from Drake Park, okay, Juan Gutierrez, 39, and Marcela Hontorato, 44, was shot and killed after what the family members believe was a parking space dispute or a road rage confrontation. The police found Gutierrez on the sidewalk with gunshot wounds, and he was pronounced dead right there at the scene. Now, Honorato, she was a mother, and she was found nearby and rushed to the hospital, but she later died. Family members said the couple had been returning home from fishing. They was fit. They went out there and got them some red snapper and some deep sea bass, and they coming home, you know what I'm saying? And some kind of way, as they was pulling up, a dispute broke out over a parking spot or a vehicle telling somebody to move. And so the mother, Honorato's daughter, later described finding her mama still alive and trying to comfort her mama before she died. And so the police eventually arrested somebody named Joshua Wells, 29, in Iowa, with the help of the U.S. Marshal Service. And Wells pleaded guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder and admitted gun use allegations. And in January 2022, he was sentenced to 70 years to life. So again, what started as a dispute over a parking spot, okay, ended up with 2 people dead and another man going to prison for the rest of his life. I'm not finished. On Thanksgiving night, November 24th, 2016, at about 6 p.m., another Walmart in Reno, Nevada, 33-year-old Matthew McGraw was shot and killed in what was first reported as a possible parking spot dispute. Later, the Colo reporting clarified that the investigators believe one driver accidentally cut McGraw off in the Walmart parking lot. They weren't even parked yet. They were not even parked yet. There are no rules in the parking lot. You say somebody cut you off, that's not even a legitimate road. It's a parking lot. You can't call that road rage. But anyway, Matthew decided it was a good idea to get out of his car with a metal baton and began hitting the other driver's vehicle and broke the side window and hit the driver in the face. And the other driver grabbed his pew-pew from inside the car and popped him through the window. And so Matthew died right then and there in the parking lot. And police said the shooter was cooperating. He was a licensed carry, and so no charges, okay? And so because the facts appeared to support self-defense. So again, it's another example of how quickly stupid parking lot disputes can turn deadly. But it also shows the difference between shooting a shooting that looks like anger and a shooting that may actually fit self-defense. Now, nevertheless, these are still, if you're listening, these are still 11 parking spot killings with 12 people smoked. Okay, somebody type smoked in the chat room. So this North Lauderdale Walmart shooting isn't happening in a vacuum. We got cases of stupid showing up everywhere across America, irrespective of race, age, creed, color, or religion. Somebody gets angry over parking space and somebody dies. All right, welcome to America. Now, today, we are dealing with a fatal shooting in North Lauderdale, Florida, in a Walmart parking lot, and after what repeatedly began as a dispute over a parking space. Let me start off by saying all the facts are not. We don't have all the results. We don't have any investigations. Nobody's been charged at this time. None of this has been presented to a jury of any kind, or a grand jury or otherwise. And so, we are solely basing what we have on what's available to the public, and what I'm telling you all is that having video is not enough. And what's reported in the press is almost always going to be sensationalized because they want you to put their eyeballs, they want you all to look at it. They want you to put your eyeballs on it. And it's because they want your likes, clicks, and views. That said, based on what we do have, we will try to put the legal framework on top of those known facts based on the current reporting. 62-year-old man, Bart Digogliomi. I'm so sorry. I don't speak Italian. I speak a little Ebonics, but for the most part, and I can't say it. Mr. Bart D was shot over a verbal confrontation with a woman. Okay, there's video footage. We've seen it all. So the legal question is this: under Florida law, because that's what happened. Is this a criminal homicide or is it justified self-defense? Now I'm gonna run some stats down to you because we're gonna talk about it. Okay, but the first thing we're gonna do is go ahead and look at some of these videos. Okay, because there's a lot of people with a lot to say, and I want to hear what the people say. We got to lay down the context. It is what it is. All right, now you all check this out. We'll start with some of these videos. Are y'all with me? Y'all hit the number 1 button. You see, this one got me running hot because I don't like stupid. Okay, I disdain stupid. There's so many other productive things you could be doing with your life. There's so many other things that you could be doing other than fighting over a parking spot in the Walmart parking lot. I think, in my humble opinion, that's a stupid way to die. Nevertheless, let's go ahead and look at the people talk. None of the evidence is, but let's go ahead and start looking. All right.
It's okay for you to use deadly force if you feel like your life is in danger, unless you're a fucking black woman. At least that's what they want us to fucking believe about this incident that happened on Tuesday at a Walmart parking lot. It wouldn't be Walmart if 2 people weren't arguing over a fucking parking spot. That's what started. However, when she parked her car and got out, 62-year-old Bart came and approached her. Don't get me wrong, Miss Ma'am already had that thing loaded in her hand, cell phone out, recording.
Okay. I don't necessarily want to show all these different little shootings. I'm gonna do my best to pass up, but we'll keep listening to the people. But you see this lady, everybody's in their racial corners. I get it. I understand. Okay. But at some point, you got to recognize that race is like the weather. It's always going to be there. So you got to try to figure out what's related to this weather and what's not. And in this particular situation, we have video footage. I'm sure there are multiple witnesses and the case is still going on. So let's not just jump to it. But again, everybody has jumped into their racial corners, haven't waited for the facts. This thing the body ain't even cold at this point. But we'll let this lady finish speaking. But she's just showing the video. All right.
A fucking veteran. You continue to argue and follow a woman even as she retreated with a weapon. And even after that little debacle where he follows her around the car and he walks away and you think it's the end of it, he comes back. And that's what prompts her to finally fire her weapon. And she doesn't leave. She stays. She cooperates with police. She provides them their video. She's crying. She's fucking hysterical. And she's not even required to retreat because it's fucking Florida. The same messed up people who defended the...
Yeah, but you're also not allowed to just shoot people. That's another thing. I want you all to understand. Stand your ground doesn't give you permission just to shoot people. And this gentleman is unarmed. And so that's something we're going to deal with thoroughly. But let's
Trayvon Martin unaliving and made Florida stand your ground law the way that it is saying that she deserves to be tried for murder when she was really just defending herself.
That's not what the law says, ma'am. There's a whole lot of other steps before that. You have Florida has immunity and so many other things. But go ahead, lay people. Somebody type non-lawyer in the chat room. Non-lawyer. Go ahead. Go ahead. Non-lawyer.
Remember, kids, it's okay for you to use deadly force if you feel like your life is in danger, unless you're a fucking black woman. At least that's what they want us to.
That's not true. That's not true, ma'am. That's not true. You just jumped on the internet and you just start talking. But I understand. It's the game we play. Let's all just hop in our little racial corners. Let's all just get in our little racial corners and play the game. That's what we've been playing for almost 500 years. All right. This is the game that we play. Just kicking up dust. Here's another one.
Veteran, elderly man.
Here's another one.
So another white, innocent, veteran, elderly man was unalived by a black woman.
Here we go.
Another one. Another one. What's the crime, you say?
Baby, how many of them were there? And what are you talking about? Another, you don't know what's going on. You just saw the video like the rest of us. You don't even know what's going on. You just jumped on your racial team, just like the little chubby black girl. Now you just jumped on your little racial team. Don't have any facts. And unfortunately, people listen to this. They start picking sides. And now we got tension. Okay? We got tension in the community. All right? There's too many guns in America for us to be getting mad at each other every week. Somebody gonna get hurt. Y'all need to calm down. Somebody type calm down. Somebody needs to throw some ice cold buckets of water on these ladies so they can calm down. Because I noticed something. Let me tell you what I noticed in my experience. It's always the ones that's not going to have to do the fighting that's talking about fighting all the time. You understand what I'm saying? It's always the ones that look like they're going to duck and run when the bullets get to flying and the fists get thrown. It's the ones that actually have to fight that want people to calm down because they know they're the ones who's going to actually have to get out there and sacrifice their lives and risk their life. I'm just saying that's just something I'm pointing out. Y'all can take it how you want to, but let's go ahead and listen to this lady.
What did this white man do to deserve this? Oh, he walked up to her. Oh, no, yeah. He was unarmed. No, he wasn't raising his hands at her. No.
Yeah, baby, but he walked up to her, okay? And they didn't know each other. And you failed to mention the fact that she was pointing a gun at him when she was walking up. Somebody typed crazy in the chat room. Maybe it's stupid, maybe it's crazy, or both. You don't walk up with somebody who's pointing a gun at you. I want you all to use your common sense. You do not ever in your life walk up on somebody that's holding a gun to you. You understand what I'm saying? Does that sound like something that'll help you avoid winning the Darwin Award? I mean, I'm just saying. I don't think that's far-fetched to tell everybody in the community that you don't walk up on somebody who is pointing a gun, who has a gun trained on. Just a thought. We'll let her finish. Go ahead, ma'am. Please.
No, he was walking up to her. Why was he walking up to her, you ask? Because
he didn't know, he knew, but she didn't know. What would you do if somebody was walking up on you? He just walking up on her trying to present her with a bouquet of roses? Or did they just have an ongoing 30-second altercation in the fight? I'm just saying, because my understanding that he parked his car in front of her, tried to block her. She parked, and then he parked and went down, had a cigarette. She went into Walmart, came back out the Walmart, and he was looking for her. I'm just saying. I don't know. It's enough stupid to go around. It's enough stupid to go around, but we'll let you finish. Go ahead.
Had a pew-pew. Yeah. Mm-hmm. From the moment she stepped out of her car, she had a pew-pew swinging it around, looking for the man.
What was she supposed to do? Leave it in the car when the man was out there trying to? I don't know. I don't understand. It's enough stupid to go around. Both of them stupid as hell. But let's go ahead.
Okay, I'll tell you what happened. It was in a Walmart parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
I guess
which we know is a dangerous place. We know that's a dangerous place now, based on my introduction to this broadcast.
Took a spot that she wanted, and then she gets out of the car. From the moment she stepped out of her car, she had a pew-pew swinging around, looking for him.
Was she lawfully carrying it? I mean, did she reasonably believe that she was in serious? Because you can carry a pew-pew at your side if you believe that you're about to have to use it. You're justified. Somebody type justified. That's Florida law. I'm going to have to go over this because I clearly see that, it's a lot of misinformation. Unfortunately, it's going to be a tremendously long broadcast. I usually like to cut it down to 2 hours, but I'm going to have to make this long and extensive because I know it's a lot of people out there with misinformation. I want y'all to have this because I want to save lives. Hallelujah. Somebody type Uncle D is saving lives in the chat room. We all saving lives in here. Let's keep going.
Yeah, there was a white Civic sitting next to him, and the white Civic said they must have been black people too.
They must have been black people. So the white Civic, what are you saying? The white, they must have been. Come on, baby. Come on now. You're doing a lot. You're doing a lot.
That elderly white cracker still around. So she goes looking and mouths, and she's mouthing off at this elderly white veteran man. And then it shows him approach her, and then she just pew-pews him.
It was more than that.
Self-defense.
Remember that? No.
And then hundreds of thousands of people already on this app are going.
If you're going to state the facts that we know, you got to be. She was followed around by this man for about 30 seconds. She was trying to de-escalate. And it appears, based on the video alone, he was not de-escalating. You see? He was escalating. Okay, we all seen the video. Okay? So let's not just get the public all in an uproar because there are people who may not have seen the video. And when they hear you talking, see, that causes problem. That causes unnecessary conflict. Respectfully. Let's keep going.
Yeah, I hope she's okay. One less elderly white veteran cracker to worry about. Yeah,
that's not what she said, ma'am. She waited around for the police to show up, and she was crying, and she had, she was doing a lot, but she waited around. There's no indication that she called this man any racial epithets. There's no indication that he called her any racial epithets. It happened. Okay. So again, people have gone into their racial corners and they put a racial spin on this before the body's even cold.
That's exactly what happened. So now in America, they can just poke us with a knife if, we just put our finger on them. Now, if we don't even put a finger on them, but we just walk up on them.
Yeah, it seems like that lady was missing some facts to me. That's what it seems like. It seems like she was just saying the things that putting forth a narrative that sound convenient for her position. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and bring up another video. And again, these are the type of things that we need to deal with. We need to throw some cold water on this real quick so we can enjoy our summer. All right. So we're going to fill this full of facts. Y'all hit the #1 button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let's move on to see what the official report has to say. Hit the #1 button if you can hear it clearly.
Confrontation in a Walmart parking lot. This is in North Lauderdale, Florida. Police say video tonight shows a man shot and killed by a woman over a parking spot. Here's Rhiannon Alley.
Tonight, this confrontation over a parking space turning deadly outside a Walmart in Florida, leaving 62-year-old Bart DeGuglielmo on the ground, dying of a gunshot wound.
Bart DeGuglielmo. Okay. Bart DeGuglielmo. Okay.
Female shot someone outside in the parking lot. Both subjects were fighting over a parking spot.
Now, it's my understanding she was on the phone with the police at the time of the incident. It's my understanding that she's on the phone with the police at the time of the incident, and she was calling them. But let's keep listening.
Witness telling ABC News it all started 5 minutes earlier with the two drivers yelling at each other through open windows. The man then parked his car, partially blocking the spot, and walked into the store. The witness says the woman managed to slip into the spot anyway. He came out.
See that? This is how he parked his car. She was able to slip into that spot that he's in front of. Okay, so he was trying to stop her from parking. Keep listening to what happened.
Moved his car and walked off for a cigarette. The woman is seen getting out of her car, phone in one hand, gun in the other.
All right, do you understand what happened? So he parked it. He was trying to block her from getting in the spot. She managed to get around, parked in the spot. He went off to smoke a cigarette. She sat in her car. Okay. Now apparently she got on the telephone, and it's my understanding she was talking to police. Those people in the car next to her then said that guy is still over there. Okay. She got out the car with her pistol at the ready. Okay. On the phone and talking to them. So let's listen.
The witness says a person in the white car tells her the man is waiting nearby.
And if you look very carefully, see the little white face right there? You see the last lady say they must have been black? This is a little white face right there in the middle above that headlight. I want y'all to look at that passenger side headlight and look at the little head in there. See the little head? That looks like a little white head to me. Not to be confused with a little black head. That looks like a little white head. Okay? But watch how they just roll up out of there. I want you to see how quickly they ease on out of there.
He's seen walking towards her as she points the gun at him. He then follows her around a car. Yeah. The witness says the woman repeated.
So they moved out of there. They moved out of that parking spot. She's still right there next to her car. He walked on in there.
Warned him she'll shoot if he keeps coming at her. He appears to leave, but then returns and she opens fire. Police say the woman claims she acted in self-defense.
The way that Stand Your Ground has evolved in Florida, you're entitled to use deadly force if you believe that you're defending yourself or your property from deadly force or a forcible felony.
David, tonight that woman is no longer in custody. The shooting is now under investigation, and prosecutors will decide whether charges will be filed. David?
Now, in Florida, they have an immunity statute where you literally, the prosecutors can't even charge you. This is a special, just crazy. Florida's shooters heaven down there. But anyway, So did you hear the
Rhiannon
story?
Alley with us tonight. Rhiannon, thank you. Deadly.
Yeah. So we're going to keep on listening. So you see the news, is they don't have all the facts. Nobody has all the facts. But apparently the internet has all the facts. Y'all know everything already. We just kicking up dust. We just talk. We just doing it, ain't we? Just trying to raise hell. We just want a hot summer. Somebody type hot summer. We want a racially turmoil-rich summer. That's what y'all want, huh? Y'all want to mess up my ability to go to the beach and hang out without people acting a fool. That's what you trying to mess up my summer. I'm not having it. Not without a good fight. Again, there's enough stuff to fight about here in America without us.
Video from Broward County, Florida, where a man and a woman are in a Walmart parking lot and they get into an argument over a parking space. And the woman is trying to get back to her car, and the man is follows her to her car.
She's not trying to get back to her car, baby. What she's trying to do is go into Walmart and do her daily shopping. Okay, she got out the car. Her car was right there. She literally could have got back in the car. She has no duty to retreat to her car. But at least we want to get the facts straight, because everybody seems to have their own little twist on this thing. You know, and I know, you know, because again, we talk about the racial game that we play here in America. So this little white lady, and I'm assuming she's white, that you cheering for the wrong team according to the white team that cares. Okay, you are, and so the black people say, yeah, see, even one of their own is on our side. This is like when you're in the stand in Philadelphia and you're yelling at in the Philadelphia team is losing or something like that, and the refs give them a call, and then one of the Philadelphia fans say, yeah, the other team is correct. You might get slapped up for that, baby. You better be careful out there. It's tight. It's racial out here. But anyway, again, let's continue with the racial games that we play. Let's go.
And she pulls a weapon, and she's telling him to get back and to get away from her. And he keeps trying to confront her and keeps charging at her, and she shot him. And conservatives are mad about that? Like, I'm really confused, because why would conservatives be mad about that? It doesn't make any sense, actually.
Well, because he was unarmed. That's the presumption. And I don't know, the facts are not always all in, but she brought a gun to a fist fight, basically. Okay, that's what it is. And they're basically saying it wasn't proportional. Why would you shoot a man who's unarmed and all he was trying, he hadn't hit you yet? Now, the thing about stand your ground, you don't have to wait till somebody hauls off and hits you in the face if you feel that there's a serious risk of serious bodily injury or death. You don't have to do that. You don't have to wait till they start ragdolling you before you let one off on them. Okay, but again, that is a complicated, fact-intensive assessment that hasn't been done yet. Okay, but we're gonna keep moving. We're gonna keep moving.
They're mad because she didn't get arrested, which I don't know. I feel like the NRA should have something to say about that, since that's like kind of their whole deal. Don't they hand out those NRA cards that say, like, if you ever have to...
Other thing you have to understand is people have their own political agendas. This is an opportunity to pick a fight with the people that you don't like politically. That's what we also see happening too. Everybody is benefiting off this racial turmoil because it's getting a lot of attention. Black woman shoots white man. Everybody who has a political agenda is jumping in. Okay, so let's just keep it. This is what we do. This is what we do. Let's keep going.
Shoot someone in self-defense, call this number.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Miss. I appreciate you. Let's move on to the next person that's kicking up dust. Let's see who else we got here. We have another video, and we'll take a look at it. I hope YouTube doesn't demonetize this. I'm doing my very best to keep it moving and try to put all of the most tragic stuff aside, because we don't want to see that. But let's keep going. Yeah, this is it. There, same turn. So she gets out the car. She got the pistol in her right hand. Buddy walks over. Right. The car gets out of there. That car gets out of there. She starts backing up. Him raising his hand. He's still walking forward. He's pointing at him, looking aggressive, pointing. She goes around the other car to the right. He follows her around the other car to the right. This went on for about 30 seconds. Just to be clear. comes back around. He's still following. It looks like he's going away. And then Mr. Martin still has the filter spraying on him. He turns around and comes back. And now he runs up on him. He runs up and lets one go in the belly. Okay? So that's pretty much it. Then she calls, I guess she calls 911. I'm not sure who's calling. Maybe she calls 911. I'm not sure. That's it. Okay? Police immediately put her in custody for police safety. That looks like a Broward County sheriff to me. But that's pretty much it. Now, again, we got more people making comments, so let's keep listening. I'm not going to listen to all the videos made, but I want to lay the foundation so we all are on the same page as to what's going on. All right, here's another.
And the use of force or violence in a situation until that force. White men clearly understand the use of force or violence in a situation until that force or violence is directed at them. People are saying that
this assumption, there's a presumption that only white people or white men are the only ones that are not don't have a side favorable to the shooter, and that's not true. Have we taken a poll? Or are we just throwing out there because that's all part of the racial game? Again, I sit on this broadcast and I talk about systematic racism, interpersonal racism. I do that all the time. I have it dissected. Okay, but what I'm trying to explain to you all, shout out to Black Sands, is that racism is like the weather. It's not going anywhere. Okay, so if it's always a reason why you can blame the weather, whether it's too hot, too cold, too wet. Even if it's a perfect sunny day, it's just too much cloud cover. It's too much sun. There's always a reason to blame racism. But see, to me, that is lazy intellectually. You understand what I'm saying, family? I want y'all to listen to me. It's lazy just to blame race on everything. Maybe these were two stupid people who were having a bad day on a hot day in Florida. Can we just think about that? Tempers flared, stupid happened, bad decisions were made. Now somebody's dead and somebody else get put in handcuffs. Can we just say that? I mean, I know the obvious is it's a black woman and a white man. But how about the fact that they were just both from Florida? Let's just start with that. How about the fact that they were both assholes? I bet if we polled these people who knew them, they said, yeah, she's a jerk, and he was a jerk too. Maybe. I'm just saying, maybe it's just two jerks that met it was destiny. Two jerks met at a Walmart parking lot, and it popped off. All right? Why does it always have to just be, it's because she's black. It's because I'm just saying, again, we can always interject race into it. I don't mind doing that, but I want to speak about it in a very intellectual way because see, what's happened is over the past 50 or 60 years, everybody just throws race into everything. And now race means when you say somebody's race, it means nothing. Hell, some people damn near take it as a compliment. It has become ineffective. It has no meaning when you start labeling everything race. You understand what I'm saying? I just want you to hear that. Now, I'm 100% down for a legitimate conversation about the effect that race has had on the criminal justice system. We know that there is some unfairness in that. But if we just going to throw it out there for everything, especially before all the facts come in, well, damn. I'm saying, what effect does it have? It means nothing. But I'm going to let the fella finish talking.
This black woman should have let this man attack her, physically attack her, before she fired the shot. This man blocked her in, followed her around the parking lot, is approaching her as she's backing away and trying to run away from this man, and he is still approaching her. When do you let off a shot at that point? Y'all rally behind stand your ground.
You let off a shot when you reasonably believe that you are going to suffer serious bodily injury or death. That's when you do that. Okay. And that is something to be determined by the jury based on all of the facts, all of which are not in at this point. Okay. I'm just saying, hypothetically, what if we learned that these two people knew each other and had a pre-existing encounter somewhere? You that same bitch from the Circle K. What if we learn that? Would that change your fact pattern? I'm just saying, right? So because we just jump into race, you don't even get a chance to even hear all the facts. I'm not saying that. I don't know. Okay, but what if we learn something different? What if you say, hey, you know what? You the one that stole my goddamn car 3 years ago, or such and such. We used to live next to each other. You sold me some bad weed. I had me tripping in the hospital for 3 weeks. I'm just saying, we don't know anything. So that's why you all need to calm down. Somebody type calm down in the chat room.
Ground law so much until that stand your ground law is used on you. So in the North Lauderdale Walmart parking lot, there was a dispute over a parking spot. Now, I don't want anybody to lose their life over a parking spot. But this is one of those situations that just got blown out of proportion. So in the videos, you can see a 62-year-old white man approaching this black woman who is unidentified, and in an aggressive manner as she's backing away and saying, back away, leave me alone. She then fires a shot. Now they're automatically painting him as such an outstanding citizen and such a wonderful person already in the media. And the right-wing conservatives are already on top of this, calling for her arrest. She was not arrested. They're currently doing an investigation. I will follow up with the case and report more on it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I appreciate it. Hey, thank you so much. Let's keep going. Let's keep looking. Let's look at the other side. We want to let the other side come in and chime in and say something. Matter of fact, I got a hot one for you. I want y'all to, well, let me see what else we got here. Y'all hit the number 1 button. Okay, hit the number 1 button if you can hear everything clearly. Okay, let's keep pushing. Now, who's mad at me, by the way? I want all you all to be mad. Go ahead and type coon and boule. Go ahead. I'm just doing my job as a lawyer. This is what I do. I want you all to type all these mean names in the chat room. Don't forget that. If you're mad, go ahead and type that in the chat room. If you're white and you don't like what I'm saying, go ahead and type race hustler. And if you're black, go ahead and type coon in the chat room, boule. I want you to do all that. I like having all y'all mad at the same time. See what type of unity I'm able to create? When you got the right-wing racists and the pro-black blackity blacks mad at you at the same time on the same damn live stream, you doing it big out here in these streets, baby. Who else's a chat room can you have people call you a race hustler and a boule house Negro at the same time, baby? Two of the greatest at the same place at the same damn time. Yeah, let's keep going, baby. Let's keep it popping, baby. Everybody mad.
All I'm saying is, it's your boy Trag up here. You hoes, stop walking up on people. Now I think Florida, isn't that that's a stand your ground?
That's true. You don't need to walk up on people. You don't need to walk up
Brown
on
state.
people.
Now let's see where they acquit this sister. I think she shot him in the stomach. He could have just simply went home. He wanted to keep pursuing her, walking up on her.
She could have drove home. She could have just not took the parking space. If he blocking the damn, if he wanted it that bad, I'm saying, if he wanted the damn parking spot, why would you park your car and get out when you know it's somebody mad at you in the parking lot? You can come back with a brick in your window. They could put all your tires on flat. You understand what I'm saying? Like, why would, that's like you at the restaurant and you say something crazy to the waiter. You better get up and leave. You're going to have some feces or spit or pee in your food. Why would you do that? You understand? Sometimes it's best just to walk away, or in this case, drive away. I'm just saying, okay, and I know it's some of you all out there begging to be the first runner-up in Darwin Awards, so you do stupid things and you think stupidly, but your desire to stay alive should say, I just made an enemy. I don't even know this person. Why don't I just go somewhere else? I'm just saying, let's think about it. Maybe your survival skills aren't up to par, but I done been in enough fights. I done had enough people pull guns on me that I realized you really don't want to be around people that don't like you like that. You understand what I'm saying? If you find somebody having a bad day, don't let them make you have a bad day where you got to do something like put a hole in them. You understand? If he was that serious about the parking space, family, just think about it. If somebody pulling up in their car trying to stop you from getting in the damn parking space that neither one of y'all own, why would you want to be around that type of conflict? This is not about you protecting your child. This is not about you protecting your family, your house. It's a parking space. You don't even own it. Walmart is owned by a multi-billion-dollar corporation. All they're going to do is sweep up the blood at night and you're going to be forgotten. You can't even put a monument out there for yourself. Just think about that. Somebody type stupid in the chat room. Somebody type stupid in the chat room.
Now, folks have mixed feelings about this. But again, you don't know who you're dealing with out here, and it's over
You really don't.
over parking space. You think I'm about to die over parking space in 100-degree weather?
Hell no.
Better, yet alone any weather. Now he dead and gone. Do y'all really care? Let's talk about it.
It's true. That's not a handsome way to leave this world. Okay, that is not a productive way to leave this world. I'm just saying. Okay, in my humble opinion, I think there are more. I'd personally like to die as a granddaddy or great granddaddy, surrounded by my children and grandchildren and great grandchildren, pat me on the head, talking about, "Hey, Papa, it's gonna be okay." That's how I want to go out. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, with a plate of catfish. You know what I'm saying? And holding my wife's hand. That's what I like to do. Not in a dirty North Lauderdale parking lot arguing over parking space. Here lies granddaddy, died over a parking space. That ain't cool. And on the flip side, you got this woman for the next year and a half, 2 years. You don't know what the DA is going to do. What's the statute of limitations on murder? There's no statute of limitations on murder. They can get you now 50 years from now. It depends on the political pressure. Let's keep listening.
With the video, the victim with the gray shirt, the woman with the gun. There is a standoff, and then the shooting. You can hear it.
Now this is his daughter. Apparently, I don't know why they would get this girl on TV. That's horrible. But this is his daughter, and my sympathies go to the family. Okay, irrespective of what I think about the two people involved in this. I'm definitely sympathetic to the family. This is horrible. Okay, but let's listen to the little lady.
Why are they interviewing his daughter? Why?
A daughter in tears. Amanda lost her 62-year-old father, Bart, shot in the stomach in a Walmart parking lot in North Lauderdale. I just don't think anybody...
Yeah, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. We don't want to see that, but we see it happening. Okay. He's a Marine. This guy was a military veteran. You know, this man went all the way to Afghanistan, fought for our country, multiple tours of duty, and this is how he dies. I mean, it's a tragedy on many different levels. You understand?
Bart served in the military. There are no charges in this case at this point. Amanda says she was estranged from her dad for many years. But recently, they were working on repairing their relationship.
Look at that. Beautiful grandchildren. This is where this man's supposed to be hugged up with his grandchildren on the 4th of July. And yet, he over in the morgue somewhere because he was arguing with somebody over in the parking lot. Y'all need to calm down. I want each and every one of you all listening to me right now. When you think about doing something stupid, I want you to think about me telling you that's stupid as hell. Calm down. Act like a goddamn adult instead of a goddamn chimpanzee. And that goes for all of y'all. The black chimps, the white chimps, the Latino chimps, Asian, all of y'all. Bunch of hairless chimpanzees running around, territorial, acting like savages. That's all of y'all. Everybody. I know Judge the Builder. Look, everybody got a little chimp in them. And you act like savages. And, you know, there are books written on the duality of man. And unfortunately, we have not walked away from that savagery. Your territory, you arguing. I mean, look, I don't even want to go here, but you got one young man who stabs another young man because of a stadium seat that he didn't want to move out of. And it's a whole stadium full of seats. Just a whole stadium. You could have slid out. You got a hoodie on, right? So now we're talking about ego. We're talking about ego and territory. We're just a bunch of great apes. That's all we are. And this further demonstrates just how little we have evolved over the past 10,000, 20,000 years. But let's move on to the next one. Let's move on to the next one in the chat room. Hallelujah. Y'all done got me. Y'all got me a little hot and bothered just because this is just silly. There's so many other things we can be doing. But it's just silly. Let's keep listening. Well,
let's see if the race hustlers come out for this one. Out of Florida, a black woman unalived a 62-year-old white man who just so happened to be a U.S. veteran. They got to arguing over a parking spot. Now, y'all know how that road rage get now. People go crazy about them parking spots. But peep this, right? The dude walks up to her car. She hops out with the gun. She tells him several times, Get away from me. Get away from me. He's still walking up to her. She done literally walked behind other cars. He's still following her. And eventually, pow! Popped his ass. Shot him one time. He on the ground clutching his stomach. He gets to the hospital where he loses his life. Now, in the Carmelo Anthony case, y'all kept claiming black folks can't claim self-defense if they kill a white person. Well, she did. She's literally out walking free right now. She hasn't been charged with anything, and she's claiming self.
But it's not over yet, sir. It's not over. I hear what you're saying, but it's not over yet. Okay. If you guys remember George Zimmerman? They didn't actually charge George Zimmerman until there was a whole lot of political pressure. Okay. Then they end up charging. Y'all remember that part? They didn't charge him immediately because they assessed it. They said this falls within stand your ground immunity, but they charged him anyway because there was a lot of political pressure. You don't know what's going to happen. Just because they didn't put in handcuffs and take her down to the Broward County jail doesn't mean they won't do it. Just let's keep listening. Let's keep on listening.
Defense. And if you look at the footage, it's clear as day. It's self-defense. Florida is a stand your ground state.
Yeah, the footage is there, but what about the witnesses? What happened? What were there any what was said? You can't hear that in the footage. You see, and this is the problem when you have people who are lay people, somebody type non-lawyer, who are on the internet and just putting out information. It just makes people unnecessarily angry before we know anything. So now you got people walking around like, shit, I got to go to Walmart. God damn, I got to get a loaf of bread and I got to get some Newports and a loaf of bread. I don't want to get shot at the Walmart. So you got your pistol. You walking through the Walmart like, yeah, we got to go out to the parking lot. It's dangerous. Get some mace, a pistol, a 6-inch knife. You know what I'm saying? And you put people on edge like that. You don't want to do that in an environment where you got 400 million guns in the United States. We have more guns in the United States than people. So we don't want to live like that, okay? Normal people want peace and conflict-free living. That's first world living. Somebody type first world living in the chat room. All right, we're going to move on to the next one because y'all get the point that this gentleman is making. And I got a whole lot to say about this breakdown. Let's listen to what some of the sisters have to say about this because, this affects them. And, a black woman was forced to defend herself and shoot somebody because she felt threatened. And, of course, we hear black women say nobody, defends them. And so apparently they are defending themselves with firearms. Let's listen to what she has to say.
Framing is intentional. It seeks to paint the aggressor as the victim and the victim as the aggressor in an attempt to put political pressure on the Broward County State Attorney's Office to charge this black woman for defending herself.
Well, he did die. Okay, like she didn't defend herself by kicking him in the balls, right? She didn't kick the old man in the balls. Like I get it, she's a woman, right? But women are equal. Somebody type equal. Isn't that what Ketanji Jackson Brown said? Right? What is a woman? Right? But nevertheless, she did use dangerous, lethal force, right? She couldn't just kick the old man in the balls if she wanted to reach out and use kinetic force on him, so to speak. But either way, I'm going to let you speak. I'm going to go ahead and let you speak. But a man is dead, and we should take that very seriously here in America. I'm just saying.
You just looked at this headline. You would have no idea that there is a video showing this man, a 62-year-old Army veteran, charging after this woman and this woman retreating. You would see her, gun in hand, still retreating, trying to get him to stop chasing after her. She goes around multiple different vehicles to try to get away. And keep in mind, in the state of Florida, a stand your ground state.
Now, again, I know what she did on the video. I know what she did. But what was this about anyway? Was he trying to kidnap a grandchild or something like that? Or was this about a parking space? Okay, because again, this whole thing could have been avoided if she had just not parked in the parking space. I'm just saying. Let's just throw that out there. Huh? Let's just throw out the fact that he tried to block the parking space, or maybe he was trying to enter the parking space and she swooped in and took it. And he went over to smoke a cigarette and calm down. Maybe she should have said, you know what? It's a whole goddamn acre full of parking spaces here in Walmart. Let me go find another one. I'll walk that extra 52 seconds to the Walmart entry. All I need is, the 4th of July is coming up. and I need to get some yams and some butter and some brown sugar and some pet milk to make this sweet potato pie. But I don't have to park in this parking spot just so I can enter into the Walmart. Why are we fighting over this particular parking spot? Somebody typed stupid in the chat room. All right. All this could have been avoided. Okay. So I get it. I get it. I get it. He was, moving rapidly after her around the car. But again, this whole thing could be avoided. These are two grown-ups. These are two fully functional, thoughtful grown-ups. They both have driver's licenses. Okay. I get it. Okay. But let's just not lose track of that. I'm just saying, somebody type calm down in the chat room. Let's hit the number 1 button and keep it popping.
You have no duty to retreat from an imminent threat. And if you're charging at someone aggressively over a parking space, who knows what you're going to do? I don't understand what we're saying here. And then, okay,
what we're saying is a man was shot dead in a major American city, and we need to do something about that. Clearly something went wrong. Okay, that's clearly what the issue is. Okay, and so we're not just going to ignore that. Okay, because she was a black woman, whether she was a alien, a woman with a wooden leg and a kickstand, whether she was I don't know whether she could fly through the air and stand on her head. We still have a dead man, and we want to deal with that because that's what we do in civilized societies. I'm just throw that out there, but let's keep on listening.
News outlets did have his daughter, and of course, any loss of life is sad. It is horrible. And the daughter was crying, and the daughter was upset. And then they go on to say that the daughter was estranged from the father for quite some time, but they did not give a reason for the estrangement.
It ain't none of your business. Why? That has nothing to do with the moment at which this man was shot. That's what I need you to understand. It has nothing to do with the moment in which this man was shot and killed. That's the only thing we want to focus on. So here we go. It's the same thing white people do. You want to disparage the victim to try to make it seem like the shooter had a duty or this person was bad. I get it. We do it in the law all the time. You make the other guy out to be somebody who deserved it. That's how you win a murder case. This person deserved. That's what you're trying to do. But it has nothing to do with the moment at which this man or this woman decided to discharge her firearm and shoot this man. That has nothing to do with that. So I get it, but this is what the public does. This is what we do. Somebody type calm down. Big shout out to Black Sands again.
Understand when the New York Post reports stuff like this, they are trying to rile up a base of people to put political pressure on the state attorney's office to charge this woman for a crime that is not a crime. It is not a crime to
that's exactly what they do. That's exactly what they do. That's what I said at the beginning of the broadcast. That's exact, and you all fall for it because you like playing this racial ball game that we've been playing in this country for the last 300, 400, 500 years. That's what we do. It's our sport. It's our national pastime, and no one can convince me otherwise. This is what we like to. Black people like to do it. White people like to do it. We got names and rules and everything. It's what we do. Let's keep listening to the little lady speak.
Defend yourself from a threat. And yes, again, any loss of life is very sad, but you have the ability, you have the right to defend yourself if somebody is charging after you.
Somebody type non-lawyer in the chat room. All right, let's look at, we got a couple more and then we're going to move on to the lesson because I want to go ahead and get you all up to par about exactly what's going on. Seems to be a lot of misunderstanding as to what self-defense.
Year-old Bart DiGugliano. Bart is no longer among the land of the living because of a tragic case of FAFO and how a split-second decision cost him his life. Let's talk about it. Now, my OG followers already know. If you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes. If you're not following the Black Zest Society, please make sure to do so. This is a space in which pop culture money and real life meet. And we all know that nothing good goes down in a Walmart parking lot, especially a Walmart parking lot in Florida. But I digress.
Somebody type non-lawyer in the chat.
Yesterday, Bart and another woman got into a dispute over a parking space. Now, videos of this dispute are floating around online, and you see the woman in the video have a pew-pew in her hand. You know I can't say the word on here. She is continually telling Bart to walk away. She's on the phone. She has the pew-pew in her hand. She is backing up as Bart continues to walk towards her. Bart goes as far as to follow the woman around the car. You cannot hear what he's saying, but it appears like he is saying something to her, and she is saying, walk away, walk away.
Okay, so you can hear what he's saying. You can't hear what he's saying, but you can hear that she's saying, walk away, walk away. Don't you think that's a bit presumptuous? I mean, I'm just saying, it appears, what if it appears that she was saying something that, was inviting him to the conflict? Do you know that? Because, see, again, we don't have all the facts in this particular situation. We don't know what was said, and that's why it's important to get all the witness statements in. It's important to have all this information. Again, we live in a racially charged society, and it creates conflict, okay? I'm just saying, it creates issues, especially when people are reckless with their words. Everybody shouldn't have access to the internet. Everybody's voice is not equal. And one thing you'll realize is that I don't listen to everybody. I've learned that a long time ago. Some people are just not worthy of my attention. I typically am mindful of the people that I listen to, and largely because of reasons like this. It's like having a mosquito buzzing around your ear. Some of that stuff is just annoying. And when you get to a certain age, you just start realizing most people have their own agendas and itineraries, okay? And they oftentimes want to sway you in a direction. All I want you all to do is calm down. That's what I want you to all. I want you to assess the facts. I want you to wait till we have accurate facts, so we don't go doing things that we would cause other people to suffer the consequences because they listened to this, got turned up, and decided to go do something else stupid. Because again, stupid is catchy. Okay, stupid gets passed around like herpes. Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. But some of y'all got it. You know what I'm talking about. It get passed around here easy. You see stupid over here, and stupid looks appealing, and you just go with the stupid. And the next thing, we got people walking down the middle of highways with flags and tiki torches. You got other people talking about F this guy and F that guy and all that sort of stuff. And then guess what? Our country starts looking like Somalia. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm just throw that out there. We'll let this lady
When
finish.
Bart gets, I guess, too close for her comfort, she releases one shot. Bart goes down, and Bart is no longer among the land of the living. Now, the woman is not currently in jail, nor was she arrested. She remained at the scene, and you see after she unloads on Bart that one pew-pew shot, she places the handgun on top of the car, and witnesses say that she was very distraught over what had happened. Now, to me, it seems like a clear case of stand your...
And I'm sure she's a human being. Who wants to unalive? Who wants to shoot somebody? You don't want that.
ground. I am not an attorney, but I have eyeballs.
You are not an attorney. Somebody type non-lawyer. We clearly see.
And I have a brain. And the woman continued to tell Bart with a loaded pew-pew pointed at him to stop, to walk away, and he did not. Nobody in their right mind continues to approach a person with a loaded handgun pointed at them. But Bart,
I mean, here's the other thing. Again, we don't have all the facts. What if we find out she hit this man's car as she was entering into the parking space? And then she pulled a gun on him when he confronted her about it. What if those facts were added into this? I'm not saying that justifies running up on somebody. I'm not saying that justifies pulling a pistol on somebody. But what if the facts change? Do we know what happened before we just start jumping to conclusions? That's all I'm asking. Because if somebody hit my car, and then I'm saying, hey, let me get your insurance information. They like, F you, dude, stay away from me. I'm like, what are you talking about? You see, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I'm not adding that to the facts and pattern, but I'm saying the public, you all are uninformed, just like I'm uninformed, and we need to let these police and these other folk figure this out before you all turn this into another racial conflict, and then we just go burn all our stuff up and tear it down, and people start getting fired, and we get more Chud the Builders out here feeling like the white people are losing their country. It just creates more issues. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Let's be a little bit more let's be more what is the word? Let's be more mindful, demure. How about that? Can we try that? Can we be more mindful and demure? Is that okay? Let's try it. Let's keep going.
Bart did, and unfortunately, he FAFO'd. It is Florida, and this woman is black, and as a result, I am not quite sure that the stand your ground law will apply to her because of those circumstances, but we shall see. But as always, I want to hear from you regarding this case. Do you think it's a clear-cut case of stand your ground? Do you think that there was no threat and that she used excessive force? Sound off in the comments. If you found value in this post,
I don't see a lot of value in that, but thank you so much. I appreciate the time in which you spent to put it together. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and move on because I want you all to kind of really understand the layout of the law. All right. Now, let's go ahead and try to understand what's going on. You guys make sure, if you have not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm trying not to make this a boring law school class, but it's important for you all to understand. So, here we go. The legal question here becomes, this is going to fall under Florida law. And the question is this a criminal homicide or is it just self-defense? You understand what I'm saying? Now, if you guys don't know, I'm an attorney. I've been practicing law for 26 years. I'm licensed in Florida. Well, I'm licensed in Texas, Louisiana, New York, Illinois, Michigan, and Arkansas. I'm admitted to practice law in the Supreme Court of the United States, the Fifth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals, multiple federal courts throughout New York, Illinois, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Louisiana. I got a perfect score on the bar examination when I took it at one time. And on top of that, I have 2 law degrees, the second of which is an LLM in environmental and energy related law from Tulane University. I also was a environmental law clinician, and I've been inducted into the Southern University Law Center Hall of Fame. When you walk into that atrium, you will see my picture to the right, at the lower, to the right and at the lower end, right there with the rest of the some of the greatest lawyers that have ever come through that law school. Now, the one thing I can tell you about the criminal practice of law, it is not complicated. In fact, it is only required. They start teaching it to you in the first and second year of law school. It's very easy to understand. It's a very uncomplicated area of law. Pretty much any baby lawyer fresh out of law school can go out, hang up a shingle, and start practicing criminal law. They can start practicing, they can become a prosecutor and actually be very good at it. So this is not complicated. This is like asking a PhD math professor to teach you, pre-algebra. Okay, so this is easy to understand. And what I'm going to do is try to make it as easy for you all to understand as possible. A lot of times people say, oh, well, you practice personal injury law. No, I practice complex civil litigation, which means as I was yeah. Mic check, mic check. Okay. So as I was saying, I deal with complex civil litigation. So this stuff that I'm providing for you all is really just like a public service. Okay. Now let's go ahead and commence. You guys make sure, if you can hear me clearly, make sure the microphone is cool. Let me know at any given time. Sometimes I have some microphone issues, but I think we're good today. But I hope you all actually learn something. And like I tell you, you don't owe me anything, but if you learn something, I should earn something. Let's start with the Florida murder statute subsection 782.04. if prosecutors view this Walmart shooting as a murder, the statute they're going to be looking at is Florida Murder Statute 782.04, and the main and that is defined. A first degree murder is defined as the unlawful killing of a human being when perpetrated from a premeditated design to affect the death of it. So in other words, to affect the death of the person killed or any human being. So in other words, you can't murder a cat, okay? Because the cat is not a human being, all right? And these statutes are strictly construed. On top of that, first degree murder means you planned it out, okay? That means somebody made you mad, you went back to your car, got your pistol, came out, and then popped them, okay? That's premeditated, all right? Doesn't have to be a long period of time. First degree murder is also defined as when committed by a person engaged in perpetrating or in an attempt to perpetrate certain felonies is murder in the first degree. So in other words, if you robbing somebody and you end up killing them, that you might get the death penalty. That's first degree murder, okay? Now, for this Walmart parking lot case, based on what's publicly known, we're looking at a second degree murder case, okay? That's what's more likely, and that's going to fall under subsection 782.04, okay? And that says the unlawful killing of a human being when perpetrated by any act imminently dangerous to another and in a depraved mind, regardless disregard for human life, although without any premeditated design to affect the death. In other words, you didn't plan it; it happened. Okay, and they're looking at the mindset. But in plain English, first degree murder generally requires premeditation or a felony murder. Second degree murder doesn't require the state to prove that you planned the killing in advance. So for second degree murder, the state would argue that firing the gun during this parking lot confrontation was an act of imminently dangerous to another person, showing a depraved mind regardless of human life, a disregard for human life, and it wasn't legally justified. Now let's talk about Florida self-defense. But again, that's only one analysis, okay? The defense side is going to start with the self-defense statute, which is subsection 776.012, entitled Use or Threatened Use of Force in Defense of a Person. Okay, a person is justified in using or threatening to use deadly force if he or she reasonably believes. Somebody type reasonable. Somebody type reasonable. Somebody type reasonable in the chat room. Shout out to everybody who's contributed to the super chat. Thank you so much. I see y'all. I'm just trying to keep this thought. Reasonableness. If they reasonably believe using or threatening to use such force is necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to herself or another, or to prevent the imminent commission of forcible felony. So self-defense also extends to third parties. You could use self-defense as a defense if you're defending your son or your daughter or a family member. Okay, so it extends that. Is it reasonable? Somebody type reasonable man in the chat room. Reasonable man. Now, the same statute also says that a person who uses deadly force under those circumstances doesn't have a duty to retreat, all right, and has a right to stand his or her ground if she isn't engaged in criminal activity. You can't be robbing somebody and sitting in their house with their flat screen and their Rolex watch talking about, I have a right to stand my ground. You can't do that because you're committing some criminal activity, all right? And so that's where it's going to fall apart. But in this particular case, this woman, she was traversing in a Walmart parking lot. There's no indication that she had no right to be there, and she was within her grounds to do that. So let's move on. Florida stand your ground law doesn't mean that I was scared, so I get to shoot. Okay, that's not what it means. Okay, he kept walking toward me, so the case closed. That's not what it means. Okay, all right. I warned him, and he didn't listen. So I'm automatically justified. Nope. Okay. Doesn't mean that. But it also doesn't mean she had to wait until he was ragdolling her and grabbing her up and knocking her on the ground and choking her or seriously injuring her before she could use force to defend herself or deadly force. The statute focuses on whether her belief was reasonable and whether deadly force was necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm. The word imminent is everything. It means right now, about to happen right now, it's popping off, okay? And the threat can't be speculative. You can't just be, oh, aliens about to come down and invade, and then he was trying to hurt me, and I thought he was with the aliens. So that's crazy as hell. That's speculative, okay? It can't be theoretical, okay? It can't be based on only anger or disrespect. He said something racist to me. He called me the N-word, so I popped him. No, that ain't gonna work. You're gonna go to jail for that, okay? It has to be close enough, serious enough, and immediate enough that a reasonable person in her position would believe deadly force is necessary. Now, so from a legal standpoint, this case turns on facts like these. At the moment of the killing, was he advancing or retreating? Okay. Was she backing away or moving toward him? How close was he when the shot was fired? Was he armed or was he unarmed? Was he making threats? Was he reaching for her? Was he attempting to hit her or strike her? Did she warn him? Did he ignore the warning? Was the gun already visible? Did he continue closing the distance after seeing the firearm? Was she trapped near the vehicle? Could she safely disengage, even though Florida law may not require a retreat? The questions are, did she escalate the confrontation by introducing the firearm? Did he stop, slow down, turn away, or disengage before the shot? Those are facts that decide whether this was a lawful shooting or a criminal homicide. And if the evidence shows that she was backing away, had the gun displayed, warned him to stop, and he continued moving toward her despite seeing the firearm, that's crazy as hell, probably stupid. Bottom line is that she probably has a real self-defense argument under Florida statute 776.012. That doesn't automatically mean she's gonna walk free, but it gives the defense a whole lot more, to work with. Okay. On the other hand, if the evidence shows he wasn't close enough to hurt her, wasn't threatening her, or great bodily harm on her, had stopped advancing, was merely arguing, or that she fired out of anger, then the state case becomes much stronger under Florida statute 782. Now, I want to tell y'all something that you probably don't know. Immunity from criminal prosecution. Did you know that Florida has immunity from criminal prosecution and civil action? Florida has a whole separate immunity statute. I haven't yet to hear any of these non-lawyers talk about it. So subsection 776.032 entitled Immunity from Criminal Prosecution and Civil Action for Justifiable Use or Threatened Use of Force. And the key language says that a person who uses or threatens force as permitted under 776.012, subsection 776.013, or subsection 776.031 is immune. You hear that? That means they can't touch it. That's what that means, okay? So I just told you guys what the self-defense statute is. And so if she has self-defense and she's valid, guess what? She's immune from prosecution. That's a get out of, you can't even arrest me card. That's what that is. And the statute also says criminal prosecution, including arresting and detaining in custody or charging or prosecuting the defendant. You can't do none of that. Think about that. That's immunity. That's what Florida does. Look, that means immunity isn't just a trial and defense. It's supposed to protect the person from being even arrested, charged, or prosecuted at all if the force was legally justified. Florida gives shooters a lot of protections. Because here's the thing. Even if you're innocent, you still got to come to court. You still have to pay a lawyer. You still have to pay a retainer. You still have to make bond. You're still going to have to miss work. But that Florida immunity statute means, the police can't even arrest you. They can't even detain you. So that makes sense why they detain her, put her in handcuffs, and then let her go after. Just think about it. All right. And that statute also tells police what they can and can't do. Law enforcement can use standard procedures to investigate the use of force. Shout out to Griff 6159. But they can't arrest you. Okay, they may not arrest the person unless the agency determines there's probable cause that force was unlawful. So in this Walmart case, if the woman stayed at the scene, she cooperated with the arresting officer, she claimed self-defense, and the available video showed facts that support self-defense on a prima facie level, that helps explain why police said, well, you know, we can investigate it, but we can't immediately arrest her. And that doesn't mean the case is over. It doesn't mean the police may not have probable cause. It just means they don't have probable cause at the moment to conclude that the shooting was unlawful. And the defense statute underneath the immunity is Florida subsection 776.012, and that section says a person may use deadly force if she reasonably believes deadly force is necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm, and to herself or another, or to prevent the imminent commission of forcible felony. And it also says that she has no duty to retreat and has the right to stand her ground if she isn't engaged in criminal activity in the place where she was has the right to be. Doesn't seem like she was engaged in any criminal activity. Not to me. It seems like she was just in the Walmart parking lot and she was being stupid about a parking space, and she met somebody that was stupid just like her, and they end up having this conflict. Nevertheless, the video and the witnesses show that she was backing away, and you've seen the videos for yourself. I don't know what the witness is saying. And he continued closing the distance, and he she reasonably he closed the distance in a way that made her reasonably believe that he was about to impose serious bodily injury on her. Then she may be, and that the danger was imminent. She can argue that she was justified in the use of force. And the police might look at it and say, yeah, again, all they need is a prima facie claim of self-defense, and she can't even get arrested, okay? And so at that point, the burden then shifts to the state to overcome immunity by clear and convincing evidence, which is the highest standard, okay? And in plain English, she doesn't necessarily have to wait for the jury trial. Her lawyer could ask the judge to dismiss the case before the trial by arguing the shooting was legally justified. But the whole thing still depends on the facts, the video, the distance, we got to look at the autopsy report, warnings, movements, witnesses, statements, and what happened in the final seconds, okay? So the investigation won't be decided by social media. I hate to tell y'all that, okay? It will be decided by the totality of the evidence, the full video. I'm sure Walmart has surveillance footage. I'm sure there's audio. There's plenty of eyewitnesses. There's physical evidence. There's forensic evidence. The distance between the parties, the angle of the shot, what both people were doing at the final seconds before the trigger was pulled. And at this stage, it would be very premature to say she is clearly guilty. It would also be very premature to say that the shooting was justified. The proper legal analysis is this. Prosecutors are going to look at whether the shooting fits Florida murder statute, especially second-degree murder, and the defense is going to try to focus on justified and potential immunity prosecution. And that's why this case turns on that one narrow question at the exact moment when she fired. Was it reasonable? Would a reasonable person, somebody type reasonable man, okay? And this is what we want. We want reasonable people in civilized society. What would a reasonable person do? What would a reasonable person believe? All right? And that's the case. That's the law. All right? Now, I have another video that I want to share with you guys because I want to particularly break this down because I found this to be particularly onerous, if you will. So I'm going to take the opportunity. And the reason is because this non-lawyer makes these statements in a very matter-of-fact way. It's about 3 minutes long. So you guys, let's listen to it together. And this one, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna actually just let him speak through the whole video, and then I'm going to come back and address it. You guys, please just sit back and listen. This gentleman, I don't know him, don't know who he is, but he starts off with man fatally shot in Walmart parking lot following dispute over parking space authority. This is him. Let's listen to the dude with the yellow safety vest on. Somebody type yellow safety vest.
So let's talk about this one, ladies and gentlemen, because again, same narrative, people don't understand how the law works in these types of situations, so we'll go over this. So what I'm going to do for y'all is I'm going to list the penal codes up here in this section of the ones, as we talk about them, of what you're going to be looking for to understand how this is going to apply. So the first one that you're going to be looking for is 790.10. That's the improper exhibition of a firearm in Florida. And yes, the moment that she stepped out of said vehicle, she's displaying her firearm. There's video that's already out there showing this. So she wasn't even provoked or anything like that. She's already doing this. She's in violation. It's a misdemeanor. Next comes because people want to bring this.
All right. So the first mistake that this gentleman made, well, let me say this. This is exactly the kind of internet legal commentary that gets people confused, and sometimes it gets people hurt. And the man sounds so confident because he's throwing statute numbers around, but citing statutes isn't the same thing as understanding the statutes and how they work together. His analysis is wrong from the beginning because he starts with the conclusion she's guilty and then tries to force the law into that conclusion. Okay. So his first mistake is that he uses Florida statute subsection 790.10, improper exhibition of a firearm. He says the moment she stepped out of the vehicle and displayed the firearm, she was automatically, instantaneously in violation of the statute. And that's wrong. Section 790.10 does make it a first-degree misdemeanor to exhibit a firearm in a rude, careless, angry, or threatening manner. But the statute contains a critical exception, not in necessary self-defense, okay? In other words, the statute itself says improper exhibition doesn't apply if the display was part of necessary self-defense. So you can't say she displayed the gun, therefore she's guilty, without first deciding whether she displayed the gun because she reasonably believed she needed to defend herself. He skipped that part, okay? He skipped that exception inside the very statute he cited. And see, this is the danger of this layperson analysis. This is reading half the statute and pretending the other half doesn't exist. He would fail his law school test on criminal procedure if this was the test. Let's keep listening.
This up is we're going to have to go with stand your ground. Now again, in this one, you're mostly going to be looking at 776.013 section 1 part B. Now that's only because people out here are saying, oh, she had a right to stand her ground. So okay, if you do that, fine, and you have to use that one because it was unaliving force that was presented before there. So again, if you're using that, they say that you have to claim self-defense, right, in that part. So then you're going to have to go to 776.012 section 2 in Florida. And nowhere in there, if he's staying so far away, which is almost a body length away, not using a weapon or anything like that, I'm sorry, you fall flat. She is going to be found guilty by that standard. So what is she going to be guilty of? You have two options.
Okay. All right. So again, let's he treats displaying, he's still treating the displaying or pointing the gun as automatically criminal, and that's the fallacy. Florida law doesn't work that way. Florida self-defense statute 776.012 expressly covers both the use and threatened use of force. Use and threatened use of force. In other words, self-defense can also be the threatened use of force because displaying a firearm is considered assault. Somebody type assault and battery. We're going to learn something real quick. Assault is placing a person in reasonable apprehension of receiving a battery. A battery is the unlawful touching of the person of another. Now, in some states, they call assault terrorist threats, and they call battery, okay? Or they call assault battery. They mix it up. It comes from the common law, but when you go way back, and the great thing about going to school in Louisiana is that the bar examination is all written. So they literally give you 3 days, 9 tests. They give you some blank paper, and then you have to write it all out, which means you have to do some thorough research. And the only place you can learn the Napoleonic Code is in Louisiana, either at LSU, Southern University, or Tulane. But the bottom line is it's not a fill in the bubble test. It's a you need to literally read it. And so because of that, we had to go old school. So assault and battery are the proper terms. But the bottom line is typically displaying a firearm against someone is considered assault. In other words, just pulling it out is a crime. Okay. And so this gentleman confuses pulling it out with a crime. But again, the Florida statute protects people who pull their dangerous weapon out in an attempt to protect themselves. That's specifically written in the Florida self-defense statute 776.012, and expressly covers the use of threatened, both the use and threatened use of force. In other words, displaying the firearm. And that matters because pulling or pointing a firearm is threatening. It's threatening the use of deadly force. And under subsection 776.012, a person may be justified in using threatening to use deadly force if she reasonably believes it's necessary to prevent an imminent death or great bodily harm, or to prevent imminent commission of forcible felony. In other words, if I think somebody is about to do something bad to me or take my life, I'm gonna pull my pistol out, and the police can't then turn around and arrest me for assault or displaying a deadly weapon. That was self-defense. So that was very thoughtful of the Florida Congress and the governor for putting that into place. So the legal question isn't did she show the gun? The legal question is, was threatening force reasonable and necessary under the circumstances? Okay, and that's going to be something that the jury would have to determine. Now, the third mistake is that he relies on subsection 776.013, like that's the main statute for this Walmart parking lot case. That's sloppy. That section is mainly about presumptions involving a dwelling, residence, or occupied vehicle. But the cleaner statute for a public Walmart type location of confrontation is subsection 776.012, which governs force used in the defense of a person. In a public parking lot, the issue isn't some automatic home or occupied vehicle presumption. Okay, you were wide open in the parking lot. The issue is whether she was in a place where she had a right to be. All right, you can't defend yourself in somebody else's house while you still in the DVD player from 2016. Okay, or something. You can't do that. You're engaged in criminal activity. We don't want to protect crooks and criminals from doing things. And the question is whether she reasonably believed deadly force is necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm. Okay, so I'm gonna let this gentleman finish, and then we're gonna come back and roast him.
And that's literally going to be 782.04, Section 1, Section A, Part 1, right there. Now, if you don't want to use that one, you can go with the next one right here of 782.07, Part 1. That's it. It does not matter what he said, if he threatened her or whatsoever. She used immediately an unaliving weapon, pew-pew, exhibited it, pointed it at him. She's already guilty. She is guilty the moment she has done this right here without being presented with unaliving force. Yeah, she could have felt threatened whatsoever. She could have had her own little personal thing going on up here. But she can't do that with that weapon. And therefore, she's...
Notice just how confident this guy is. He's just so confident. And unfortunately, there are people who would believe this just because he has that Dick Cheney confidence. Dick Cheney would get on the internet and say get on television and say all kind of stuff and have the public just like, yeah, he sounds so confident. He sounds so confident. Somebody type y'all call him a laundry room lawyer.
Guilty.
Let's keep going.
I'm sorry. It's just going to be, what do they really want to charge her with? Do they want to hit her with 782.04, or do they want to charge her with 782.07? That's it.
All right. So again, this man's claim, one of the other claims is that because the man was almost a body length away and allegedly had no weapon, the self-defense argument falls flat. I want you to listen to this because that's legally childish. Distance matters, but distance doesn't decide the case by itself. Whether he was advancing matters, whether he was backing away matters, whether she warned him matters, whether he ignored the warning, whether he saw the gun or kept coming, that matters, whether she was trapped near her vehicle, his size matters, his presumptive strength matters, his age, and sex disparities also matter. The law doesn't say an unarmed person can never cause death or bodily injury to an unarmed. That's not what it says. A person can be seriously injured by being punched, grabbed, shoved, slammed to the pavement, knocked down, choked, stomped, or overpowered. So he had no weapon. It's an important fact, but it's not the whole case. Okay. And the other thing is, and I think one of the most dangerous things that this gentleman said is that, in this whole, video, he says it doesn't matter what he said if he threatened her or whatever. And that's just wrong. Threats absolutely matter. Words alone may not always justify deadly force, but threats combined with movement, especially forward movement, distance closure, refusal to stop, physical disparity, and continued advancement absolutely matter. A threat can show intent, and a warning can show the shooter tried to stop the encounter. Continued movement after a warning can show escalation. And so when he tells the public that threats don't matter, he's telling people to ignore evidence the police, prosecutors, and judges and juries would absolutely consider. Now, here's the thing. He says that she's already guilty. I want you to think about that. She's already guilty. So if she's never charged, now you got a bunch of people running around saying, hey, that's an injustice. You see? She said the moment she pointed the gun without being presented with what he called unaliving force, that's not the law. Florida law doesn't require a person to wait until the other person first uses deadly force. The standard is whether the person reasonably believes deadly force was necessary to prevent death or great bodily harm. That means the person claiming self-defense can be wrong in hindsight. Okay? But the exact level of danger is determined at the moment. And as long as that person reasonably believed that they were in danger of serious bodily injury at that time, that's all that counts. And that's why we say the law of self-defense is imperfect. You don't have to be perfect. All you have to do is be reasonable at the moment. Okay? Because we don't second guess people who are acting in the moment. Were they reasonable? In other words, what would a reasonable person do? Now, this gentleman also jumps straight to 782 subsection 782.4 or murder, and subsection 782.07, which is manslaughter, as if those are the only choices. That's just backwards. Homicide statutes don't answer the justification question by themselves. Murder and manslaughter require unlawful killing. If the shooting is legally justified, then it isn't murder and it isn't manslaughter. You get that? You don't get to skip self-defense and skip immunity and ignore the facts and then say, well, the only question is whether she gets charged with murder or manslaughter. That's not how the criminal law works. This gentleman ignores the Florida statute 776 immunity statute. I talked about it. As I said, Florida law provides immunity for criminal prosecution and civil action when force is used as permitted under the self-defense statute. So in other words, that young lady, the gentleman's daughter, the victim's daughter who was crying, she can't even sue this woman civilly. You can't come back and try to get a civil judgment against her because the shooting was justified. Okay, that's what immunity means in Florida. And that means immunity isn't just something argued to a jury at the end of the trial. It never happens. It can be raised before the trial, and the law enforcement, it may investigate, but it may not arrest unless there's probable cause that the force used was unlawful. And that matters here because based on the public reporting, you all, somebody type you people in the chat room, you people, right? She remained at the scene. She cooperated. She claimed self-defense and it wasn't immediately arrested while the matter is still under review. That's exactly the kind of procedural posture where immunity and probable cause matter. Now, here's the last thing, and I'm gonna move on. Okay, his certainty, his absoluteness, right? Let me tell you something. No competent lawyer should look at a partial public video, and this is a non-lawyer, okay? But you shouldn't be out here looking at public videos, incomplete facts, right? Saying whether she's gonna be found guilty or not, or innocent for that matter. That's reckless. We don't have the full video. We don't have the audio. We don't have the video statements. We don't have any forensic evidence. We don't have the distance measurements. We don't have the exact timing. We don't have the full sequence before the shot. A serious lawyer would say that the facts may help or hurt depending on what the complete evidence shows. A serious lawyer wouldn't declare guilt from a short clip and a statute number. And that's why this type of layperson, non-lawyer, that type of commentary is dangerous, because you all, somebody type you people will believe it. See, he's not just giving an opinion. He's presenting wrong legal conclusions as education. He's teaching people that displaying a firearm automatically makes them guilty. That threats don't matter, and that unarmed aggressor can never justify deadly force, and that prosecutors only have two options. That's legally flavored misinformation, and legally flavored misinformation is worse than ordinary ignorance, because it sounds smart enough to fool people who don't know the law. Now, that being the case, let's proceed. Are you all learning something? If you're learning something, let me know. And I'm gonna talk about some of the things I hear you all saying on the internet. One thing people keep saying: did she have a duty to retreat? Now, under Florida law, that's not the main question. Florida's stand your ground law generally removes the duty to retreat when the person is lawfully present and not engaged in criminal activity. She had a legal right to be in Walmart, so the law doesn't require her to run away before defending herself. But that doesn't end the case. Stand your ground doesn't automatically justify shooting somebody because they're running up on you. Doesn't mean you can shoot somebody just because they're yelling and walking towards you, refusing to listen to your instructions. You're not the police. Shout out to RS1. Or making you uncomfortable. The real question is whether she reasonably believed deadly force was immediately necessary to prevent death or great bodily harm. That means investigators are going to focus on the facts, not just the phrase stand your ground. You understand? And under Florida law, the question isn't whether a woman had a duty to retreat. The Florida stand your ground statute removed that duty to retreat. Okay? But again, that does not conclude anything. Now, the other thing is, I hear a lot of folks saying the race issue. A lot of black people are saying the stand your ground only protects white defendants, or black defendants are routinely denied defense. The defense. And in the context of the racial game we play, shout out to Frozen 6, in the context of this game that we play here in America about race, in other words, what they're saying, what black folk are saying, is that the referees are bought off and they're cheating for the other side. That's what they're saying. That said, there's empiric data and studies that overwhelmingly suggest that racial disparities in the criminal justice system are prevalent. Okay? And they also have research that says that there are disparities in how self-defense claims are evaluated, and that there have also been black defendants who have successfully asserted self-defense or stand your ground. Okay? Whether race affects outcome in any individual case can't be assumed without examining the specific facts that prosecutors, decisions, judges, rulings, juries, and evidence are presented. You see? We don't know yet. They didn't even arrest the woman. She's clearly black. So what does that tell you? Looks like they think it's a prima facie case of self-defense, and she might have an immunity claim. I'm not saying they won't arrest her later. I'm just saying as of right now, somebody type right now. You don't know, but you're so hell-bent on playing the race game, just like the white people. The white people are playing, the black people are playing. This is what we do. Okay? Now, of course, the first time any of you all ever heard of stand your ground was the George Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin. I know this is a touchy subject. It's still touchy. It's right up there with OJ. I get it. Okay? I get it. It's all in the comments. Legally, every self-defense case turns on the facts. And a prior acquittal doesn't establish that another defendant will or should receive the same result. Now, listen to this. Let's start with this. Okay? And I'm going to talk about Zimmerman in a minute. And this is something that I've dealt with before. Somebody type proportionate. Because I notice people are saying something that they need to listen to. When we talk about self-defense and proportionality, okay? A person may use deadly force before being struck if they reasonably believe they're about to suffer imminent death or great bodily harm. The law doesn't require waiting until the first punch. However, fear alone isn't enough. The belief must be one a reasonable person would hold under the circumstances based on the information currently available. I don't think anyone can reasonably say that this woman is clearly guilty or clearly justified without all the facts. There are too many facts that remain unknown. You understand what I'm saying? There's too many facts that remain unknown. Now, when we talk about Zimmerman, we have to deal with it because it's happened in Florida. There's a lot of George Zimmerman comparisons because this is where the stand your ground law became famous or infamous in the public imagination. And a lot of people are saying, well, George Zimmerman shot Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin was unarmed. Zimmerman was armed and Zimmerman was acquitted. So that sets the precedent that an armed person can shoot an unarmed person and claim self-defense. That's not what Zimmerman case stands for. George Zimmerman's acquittal doesn't create a broad rule that an armed person can shoot an unarmed person during any confrontation in Florida, and it doesn't create a rule that Florida law ignores proportionality, reasonableness of facts. Okay, so here's the legal question. All right, well, let me say this. The facts in Zimmerman are very different. The legal question was, what was happening at the moment? Somebody type moment. At the moment Zimmerman shot Trayvon Martin. At the moment, according to the defense theory, the key trial testimony, Zimmerman was on his back. Trayvon Martin was on top of him. The witness, Jonathan Good, testified that the person on top was straddling the person on the bottom and striking him ground and pound style, hitting his head on the pavement or about to. And he identified that person as Trayvon Martin as the person on top of Zimmerman and Zimmerman on the bottom. That fact pattern allowed the jury, that's what the jury considered. So you got somebody on top of you, right? So again, ground and pound style, hitting you in your head, about to bash your head into the pavement. Trayvon Martin was unarmed, right? Because this is what people are saying. Well, Trayvon Martin was unarmed, so Zimmerman should automatically lost his self-defense. That's not how self-defense law works. As an unarmed person can still inflict great death, a great bodily harm. If someone is on top of you, punching you and bashing your head or creating a reasonable fear in your mind that you're about to suffer serious injury, then a rational jury could conclude that deadly force was legally justified, even if the other person doesn't have a gun or knife. If you fall down and hit your head on the concrete, you could die. That's why in the martial arts, the first thing we teach people is break fall. That's the first thing you learn, how to break fall. They got a back break fall, side break fall, other side break fall. They got a forward break fall, how to break your fall, because you want to keep that noggin on top of your head from hitting the concrete. because the minute that happens, you might black out. So imagine you got somebody on top of you, hitting you on your head, forcibly about to bash your head into the concrete. The jury heard that. How many of you all think that that could give rise to great bodily harm? How many of you all think that getting your head, or let me reverse. How many of you all don't think that getting your head bashed into the concrete would have a reasonable person believe, I better do something now or I'm going to die? I'm just asking. Okay? This is what the witness said. This is what the witness said. He clearly had lost the fight. He was on his back. Okay? About to get his head bashed into the ground. What was he supposed to do? Let him kill him? Would you let somebody kill you? I'm just asking you all. Okay? So he has his pistol on him and he shot him. One bullet. You understand what I'm saying? So, again, that doesn't mean Zimmerman was morally right. He shouldn't have followed Trayvon Martin. Doesn't mean the encounter should have happened. It was clearly stupid. Okay? But it also doesn't mean people were wrong to be angry about the case either. But in the criminal law, the final moments, that's the same principle we have to apply here. What was happening in that moment? Not what led up to it. Not what happened. You know, he was fine. Where was at that moment? What was going on? And the question you have to ask yourself, if somebody was bashing your head into the concrete, forget all that happened beforehand. You just gonna let them kill you, or you gonna pull your pistol and put one in them? You have to ask yourself that. And the jury asked themselves that, and they said a reasonable person would use deadly force to defend their life, and that's why that man was acquitted, whether you like it or not. Now, again, let's not forget the overarching question. The question isn't how stupid you are to shoot someone in the parking spot, over a park spot. And the question is not how stupid could you be, have to fight over a parking spot in a Walmart parking lot. Again, the bottom line is a parking space dispute shouldn't end with a dead man. That's not normal. The question, but the question is whether at the exact moment that this woman fired, did she reasonably believe deadly force was immediately necessary to prevent death or great bodily harm? That's the issue. But see, this is why people misunderstand proportionality. Some people think self-defense has to be proportional all the time. And in a sense, deadly force can only be used after the other person uses deadly force. That's what they think. That's not Florida law. It's not. In some states, you have a duty to retreat. In some states, even if you don't have a right to use deadly force. It's horrible. But that's not Florida. Florida law doesn't require a person to wait until they're shot before they can use a gun. It doesn't require a person to wait until they're stabbed before they can use deadly force. It doesn't require a person to wait until they're punched or grabbed or choked or knocked down or stomped or seriously injured before they can defend themselves with deadly force. But the belief has to be reasonable. The threat has to be imminent. Deadly force has to be necessary. Again, self-defense is an imperfect defense. That's what people mean when we say self-defense is not about perfect accuracy. A person doesn't have to be correct in hindsight about every detail of the danger that they face. The law allows for the fact that people under threat may not have perfect, accurate information. The question is whether the belief was reasonable at the time. Okay? The law, the judges, the decision, from the pressure of the moment, they don't expect you to be perfect. It doesn't expect to be, would not expect you to be perfect. And you folk who are sitting comfortably online, second guessing this situation after the fact, you don't know. Now, if we introduce this case, if this woman was backing away, according to the video that we've seen, right? If she warned him to stop, if he kept coming toward her anyway, those are facts the defense will emphasize. They'll say she wasn't chasing or pursuing him. She was trying to create distance and kept trying to close the distance. He had an opportunity to stop. He kept coming. That's a real self-defense argument. It's not automatic, but it's better than a lot of them that I've seen. Now, a jury would still want to know how close he was. Now, we can kind of approximate from the video, but they want testimony. They want definitive numbers if possible. How fast was he moving? Whether he was threatening her. Whether he swung at her that we didn't see on the video. Maybe a witness saw that. Whether she said, come over here and I got something for you. We don't know. Was he reaching for her? Was she reaching for him? I don't know. Whether she created or escalated the confrontation, or whether he stopped or slowed down before the shot, whether the deadly force immediately, I don't know. But the prosecution is going to look at all those facts and argue this wasn't life or death encounter. That's what they're going to say. They're going to ask whether, shout out to Torrin Jones. They're going to ask whether this was really an imminent threat or death or great bodily harm. They're going to ask these questions. But at no point should anybody be yelling closed case at this point. Now, some of you folk think stand your ground only protects white folk. That's what you said. I've read your comments today. Other people are saying race has nothing to do with it. Both sides are oversimplifying it. It's fair to discuss racial disparities and how self-defense claims are investigated and charged and argued and received by juries. Anybody who practices law knows that's true. Anybody who studies the justice system knows race affects public perception and institutional decision-making. But you can't responsibly predict the outcome of this specific case based on the fact that the shooter is a black woman and the victim is a white man. Race is going to shape the public debate, as you see. Race is going to shape the media framing. We're used to that. Race is going to shape how people emotionally respond to the facts. Y'all have gone to y'all corner. But legally, this case is going to come back to evidence. The video, the witnesses, the distance, the movement, the warnings, the timing, the physical positioning, the final seconds before the shot. Now, I want to talk about the fact that this was a woman defending herself allegedly against a man. Okay? On top of that, it wasn't no big gal. It was a small woman. Okay? That's relevant. We need to deal with that. It's right there in your face, right? Something we need to deal with. If you want to talk about that, hit the subscribe button, because this is what you're going to get here. Now, men and women are not equal. Men and women are not the same. Is that fair to say? Can we say that? I don't want to offend any of you all, but see, we have to, this is something that matters in every self-defense case, but especially in this case. The physical difference between the people involved, the fact that she appears to be a smaller woman and he was a man, it does play a role in the reasonableness analysis. It doesn't automatically justify deadly force, but let me be clear about that. And let me be clear about something else. Being smaller or being a woman doesn't mean you automatically get to shoot somebody or stab them or use deadly force. Being a woman doesn't mean every man who walks towards you is an imminent deadly threat, but it also legally and practically is wrong to pretend that size and strength and sex really is sex and physical. It doesn't bring forth a physical disadvantage. Now, we're not talking about a big, strong Samoan woman, about 350 pounds, and you a 130-pound dude. That might be different. That's why I made sure I add size, strength, and sex and physical disadvantage. Have you ever seen a Samoan auntie up close and personal? She will grab you like that with them big meaty hands and wrap you up and throw you across the room and then reach over and bring you back. You understand that? I'm trying to tell you. So we're not talking about every woman, okay? There's some big, strong ladies out there, and you don't want to wrestle with them. They will put something on you, and you will never be the same afterwards. You will be like, what happened to me? Now, Under Florida law, the question is whether a reasonable person in her position would believe deadly force was necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm. Her position includes the actual circumstance she was facing at the moment. Somebody type "at the moment." That means the law doesn't look at this like some abstract argument between two equal people standing in the courtroom. That's why, we say the law is blind, but it's clearly not. The law is going to look, is that a woman? That's a man? Okay. The law is not blind, okay? The law looks at the physical reality of the participants in the confrontation. Was she smaller? Was he larger? Is the presumption that she was stronger or he was stronger? Was she alone? Was he closing the distance? Was she backing away? Did she warn him? Did he ignore the warning? Was he still coming after he seen the gun pointed at him? Somebody type stupid. Could he physically have overpowered her if he reached her? Ladies, do you think the average man could physically overpower you once they put hands on you? Because, see, that's what the jury is going to consider. Did she act reasonably? Those facts matter because physical threat isn't just about whether somebody had a gun or knife. A person can cause great bodily death with their hands and elbows and feet and so on and forth. They can break bones. They can put you on the ground and bash your head in the pavement. You see? And this is where, there's a size disparity in the presumption of strength. And this is where people have been trying to compare this to the Carmelo Anthony case. We're going through everything today. You hear me? We're going to talk about it all. I'm going to get it out. I'm going to get it all out for you. Now, a big to-do was made about the fact this Carmelo Anthony case because Austin Metcalf was bigger, and the jury clearly understood that. Austin Metcalf was about 6'1", 210 pounds. Carmelo Anthony was about 5'11", 163 pounds. This is what the stats say. Okay, now some people are trying to embellish. Oh no, he was 5'2", 105 pounds. You mean he was trying to get a football scholarship? He was playing free safety in Texas at how big, y'all? 130 pounds? It's possible, but I'm just saying. But the bottom line is they wanted that size difference to carry the whole self-defense argument. But I never bought that as some massive physical mismatch because we talking about two 17-year-old young men. Both of them were male. Carmelo Anthony wasn't some frail, helpless child. Okay, he wasn't. He was a robust, muscular young man. They actually showed him doing some 7-on-7 drills. The boy played free safety for his football team. He's about, like I said, he's 5'11", 163 pounds. He's strong, athletic. He's still capable. He's still a young man with male strength and speed and physical ability. So even if Austin Metcalf was bigger, a rational jury could still look at these two boys and say, these are two 17-year-old males. One of them might be a little bigger, but they're not worlds apart. And that's a very different analysis from a small woman facing an adult man in a parking lot. Okay? And that distinction people need to understand. When you're dealing with two teenage boys, even one is a little heavier, the jury may still see two young males who are both physically capable. One may have a little size advantage, but the other still has the strength, muscle, athleticism, and fighting ability of a young man. And that's why size difference alone didn't automatically make Carmelo Anthony justified in using deadly force. That's what the jury thought. That's why they convicted him. Okay? Now, when you're dealing with a woman in a man analysis, let me let y'all, I have judge friends. Some of my really good friends are judges. Let me tell you what happens. When you bring your behind down to the courthouse as a man and you say, well, she hit me first, and then you hit her back, the judge is going to say, well, I get the fact that you hit her back, but because you're a man and you're stronger and you're bigger, the proportion of force that you used was disproportionate because you're a man and she's a woman. That's what the judge is going to say. So we're going to go ahead and sit you down for 5 to 15 years for domestic violence. Case dismissed. And if you say, but judge, she hit me first, She had done it before. You should have left it in. My hands are bound. I'm going to follow the law. And then you're going to go to jail. And many men who've been down to the domestic violence court know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, when she calls up the police on you and say, well, he hit me, even if she hit you first, you going to jail. Somebody type go to jail in the chat room. Somebody type, because go to jail. And the thing is about domestic violence, because of the cops are not going to allow you to stay there. Somebody's going to jail, and more likely than not, it's going to be you, because what they don't want to happen is for something else to pop off, and then the news reports get hold of it and say, yeah, man, there was like 3 domestic calls to this house, and the police didn't do anything. And then we end up with a body. And now they look bad, the prosecutors look bad, and people don't get reelected and they don't get their bonuses. You see how that works? That's pretty easy to understand, right? So they have to arrest you. They have to put you in jail. And when you go in front of the judge, you're going to say the force is disproportionate. That's the difference between men and women in the law. I don't care what Ketanji Brown says. She don't know what a woman is. I know what a woman is. The police know what a woman is. And the judge knows what a woman is. Now, a woman on average is at a natural physical disadvantage in a violent confrontation with a man. That's not politics. That's just physical reality. Men generally have more upper body strength, more muscle mass, greater grip strength, greater punching power, greater ability to physically overpower women in close quarters. Women generally have less muscle mass, less upper body strength, and less bone density. So when an adult man is closing a distance on a smaller woman, especially in a parking lot confrontation, a jury is going to view that threat very differently. That doesn't mean every man is automatically a deadly threat, but it does mean a jury can properly consider the physical imbalance when deciding whether her fear was reasonable. Now, if you talk about Carmelo Anthony, people wanted the jury to treat him like he was, 5'11", 5'3", 120 pounds. And, but at the end of the day, the jury said, no, that's a 17-year-old free safety. And he's not helpless against that 6'1", 210 pound, 17-year-old linebacker. That's not a very powerful argument. And the jury agreed. And that's not the same thing as a woman being confronted by a bigger man, a stronger man, a larger man. Okay. That's not it. His physicality and capability will allow him to overpower her. That's the case difference. If this is a woman backing away, and if she warned him to stop and kept coming, and he saw the firearm and still continued, then the fact that she was a woman facing a man becomes important. Because see, if it was 2 women out there and one woman pulled a gun on another woman, she would have been arrested. We don't even understand why you did it. Just another brawl at Walmart, 2 women fighting, but that's not what happened. It was a man and a woman. Men, be mindful of that. But again, that's exactly what the defense is going to argue. You understand? Is that clear? The defense is basically going to say, they're going to put that directly in front of the jury. They would show photographs, measurements, video stills. They would show how big this man was. They would pull his driver's license, show how tall he was, how much he weighed. The ladies and gentlemen, she didn't have the luxury of standing there and hoping he wouldn't put hands on her. She wasn't even evenly matched. She wasn't looking at another woman the same size as her. She was looking at an angry man, angry, because she took a parking spot that he believed belonged to him, coming towards her, wouldn't leave her alone. And if he had closed that distance, the situation could change in 1 second. That's what the defense lawyer is going to say. Of course, the state is going to say size, if the state, I would argue, if I was arguing for the state, I would say the physical disparity alone doesn't authorize deadly force. That's not what the law says. I would say she might have been smaller and he may have been male, but that doesn't answer the legal question. Was he actually about to attack her? Right? Yeah, he might have been close and distant. How close was she? Right? He wasn't reaching for her. He wasn't lunging for her. He wasn't making threats that we know of. He didn't grab a gun. He didn't stop advancing. So was deadly force immediately necessary at the moment she fired? That's the best argument. That's all they got. Okay? But again, in this particular case, because we talk about a woman, gender matters. The perceptions of strength matters. The ability to physically overpower someone matters. But none of that decides the case alone. It's just one part of the totality of the circumstances. Now, that being the case, I'm going to show you another Walmart parking lot case. Y'all still with me? I hope you are. Y'all learning something? Are you learning something? Because we got a very similar case that happened in another Walmart in Kansas City. I want you to listen to this video, all right? And this is a situation that I want to deal with because this is case in point, okay? Listen to this young, well thought out man. This man, look, he got the same glasses I have on. Are y'all listening? Okay, are we calming down? Somebody type calm down in the chat room. Have we calmed down yet? Have we all calmed down yet? Are we gonna have our racial Super Bowl this weekend? Are we gonna do that this summer? Is that what we're gonna do? I just want to know. Somebody type 4th of July race bowl in the chat room. That what we're gonna fight it out in the streets? Are we just gonna calm down and listen? Somebody type calm down in the chat room. I want everybody in my listening audience to write calm down. Or as my grandma used to say, settle down. Settle down. Settle down. I want everybody to type, all the country people, type settle down in the chat room. Settle down. Settle down. Okay? If you're not country oriented, if you don't have any family members in the South, just type calm down. You can continue forth with that. Okay? All right? Now, I want you to listen to this, and I'm going to give you a breakdown. Okay? After this gentleman finishes, and we'll go into some details so I can show you how it works.
A jury has convicted former Kansas City police officer Takeeza Johnson for the killing of a 71-year-old man in a Walmart parking lot. Johnson shot and killed the man in the Walmart parking lot because an argument started between the two of them, and prosecutors presented evidence that the argument started because Johnson believed the other man got too close to him. Jurors recommend that he be sentenced to life in prison.
All right. All right. You see that? Walmart, dangerous place. That Walmart parking lot. Y'all better hurry up and try to get in there. But anyway, that's another Walmart parking lot shooting between two men, where the jury convicted the shooter of murder because his case helps explain why the juries don't automatically accept self-defense just because a person claiming self-defense said the other person got too close and was threatening. Because see, remember, in this Florida case, this woman said she's going to argue that she feared for her life because the gentleman got too close, right? That's pretty much the crux of the argument. He got too close. But she was a woman. That his brother, right? Takeeza, somebody typed Takeeza Johnson in the chat room. Takeeza Johnson tried the same thing in Kansas City. I want you to keep in mind, that might be something you missed. He was a Kansas City police officer. Missouri City, state of Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri police officer, 49 years old, black man named Takeeza Johnson. And he shot and killed a 71-year-old white man named Ronald Barnett outside of Walmart Supercenter in Northland. Okay. It happened on June 30th, which is Tuesday. A jury found him guilty of second-degree murder and armed criminal action, and the jury recommended life in prison. Okay, on the murder charge, and another 15 years for armed criminal action. You understand me? Somebody type Takeeza. You ain't gonna see him no more. Okay, that he got an extra 15 years afterlife. Damn. I mean, they gonna let him die, bury him, go dig him up, dust him off, get him back together, put him back in prison for another 15 years. Damn, you're gonna have to do all that time. That's not what it means. That's a joke. That's just a joke. It's just a joke. It just means that when he becomes eligible for parole, he got another 15 years to do. You see what I'm saying? So they trying to keep him there forever. But again, the facts are as follows. 49-year-old Takeeza Johnson, he believed it's a 71-year-old Ronald Barnett drove too close to him while he was in the crosswalk. In other words, he's walking through the crosswalk at parking lot. Look, man, you at the parking lot, you just walking through the crosswalk, and he felt like the Ronald Barnett came too close. Did he hit you? He didn't even hit you. Didn't even hit him. You just, anyway, they exchanged words. And then Ronald Barnett drove off. Okay, he drove away and he parked in a parking spot. Takeeza Johnson, former police officer, followed this man to his parked directly behind Ronald Barnett SUV. So apparently he must have hopped in his car, followed this dude, and parked behind him in the SUV. Got out with his gun behind his back. So he's sitting there holding the gun behind his back. Okay? And after another exchange, he shot Ronald Barnett in the stomach. Okay? Now, the prosecutor said Takeeza Johnson claimed Ronald Barnett threatened his life and called him the N-word. Somebody type N-word in the chat room. All the black people type N-word in the chat room. So he called him the N-word. And Takeeza said, oh, you got to die. Okay? I want you to think about that. Think about that. Somebody type Chud the prisoner in the chat room. Okay? Now, Takeeza Johnson admitted under cross-examination that Barnett wasn't armed and that he didn't see any weapon in Barnett's hand. The shooting was captured on surveillance video, so the jury saw that. Now, again, I want y'all to think about that. That's what happened. So you see the difference? Somebody almost hit you in the parking lot. You follow them to their car, box them in, right? And, now you have a verbal confrontation with them, and then he got too close to you, right? I guess he walked up on them while they were there, and then you shoot him because he called you the N-word and got too close. Now, but all that matters is the moment. Somebody typed the moment. The only thing that mattered was the moment. What happened at that moment? Not what happened leading up to it, but at that moment. Okay, somebody type moment in the chat room. Now, under Missouri Revised Statutes, subsection 5631, a person may use physical force when he reasonably believes it's necessary to defend against the use of imminent use of unlawful force. But deadly force requires more. Deadly force is justified only if the person reasonably believes it's necessary to protect against death. Now, again, Johnson testified that the old man didn't have a gun. He testified that Ronald Barnett didn't have a gun. He said that, right? So he's unarmed. Okay? Now, Missouri also recognizes that a person generally has no duty to retreat from a place where he has a right to be. So, Johnson didn't have to walk away. But again, just like Florida, no duty to retreat doesn't mean you can use deadly force whenever you feel disrespected or somebody called you the N-word to make you feel uncomfortable. And the jury could look at Johnson and say, this 49-year-old man, you weren't you weren't a little woman, right? Faces some physically stronger man. You were a grown man. You appear fit. Hell, you a cop, right? You weren't obviously helpless. You weren't facing a size or strength or sex age disadvantage. The man you shot was 71 years old. He was unarmed. You didn't see a weapon. You didn't even think he had a weapon. You just got mad because he called you the N-word. The argument wasn't physical. And you followed him after the first exchange instead of letting the situation end. Somebody typed stupid in the chat room. So when Takeeza started talking about defense, self-defense, he said, but he threatened me. Okay, he threatened you. He called you the N-word. He got too close. The jury didn't buy it. That's not a reasonable basis to fear death or serious bodily injury. And that matters because the prosecutor said the self-defense instruction in Missouri, just like Florida, just like Texas, verbal threats and name calling aren't enough. And a person claiming self-defense must show more than fear of being grabbed or punched, okay? In order to use deadly force, not ordinary force, deadly force. In plain English, you got a 49-year-old former cop. You may have been justified in pushing Mr. Barnett to get him back up off you or blocking him or punching him, okay? If he truly got too close or put his hands on you. But why you shoot the man? Why bring deadly force to an ordinary force situation? That's the question. Nobody's saying you don't have a right to defend yourself. They're saying you don't have a right to use deadly force. Do y'all see the difference? Because there's a lot of stupid people out there that's going to walk away from this broadcast saying, Dennis Spurling said we don't have a right to protect ourselves. That's not what I said. Okay? If the threat is ordinary assault or battery, the law doesn't automatically let you use a gun. And that's exactly what the Platte County prosecutor, Eric Zan, said verbally. He said verbal threats and name calling aren't enough. Fear of being grabbed or punched isn't enough. You can't bring a gun to a fist fight. Black people, let me say something plainly. Just because somebody calls you the N-word doesn't give you the right to shoot or kill them. And that also goes to jumping on their head, knocking them down and beating them up, because that's also deadly force. Because if somebody dies, you going to jail for murder. I understand the anger. My roots probably go deeper than yours in this country. Most black folk got here after 1808. I can check my roots all the way back. I got 6-7 generations. I can show you the King Plantation in Virginia where my parents, my ancestors bred. I have a bill of sale where 6 of my family members were sold to a white man in Mississippi before the Civil War. So my roots run, not only do they run deeper than most white Americans, they run deeper than most black Americans. You need to understand that. So I understand the anger. I understand the disrespect. I understand the racial insults are meant to provoke you. But the law doesn't say that somebody calling you a racial slur gives you the license to use deadly force or kill them. That's not how self-defense works. Deadly force is justified only if the person reasonably believes it is necessary to protect himself or herself or another person against death or serious physical injury or some sort of felony. Now, I will say this. If a person running up on you, calling you the N-word and gets within arm's length, you may have the right to use ordinary force. Somebody type ordinary force. You have the right to use ordinary force to protect yourself if you reasonably believe he is about or she is about to use unlawful force against you. You understand that? And to people who want to run up on other people, calling black people racial epithets like the N-word, let me warn you too. You may get punched in the face. Depending on how the facts are, the jury may decide that the person who did punch you in the face acted reasonably if you was running your big fat mouth, talking stuff, threatening them, using fighting words. See that? See how that works? Somebody type ordinary force is good. It's satisfying. Somebody type ordinary force. Ordinary force is satisfying. See that? What would you rather have? A free punch in the face? And you get to walk away and the jury say case dismissed because they call you the N-word? Lesson learned. See? Ordinary force allows you to walk away and you get to teach a lesson. So that person who you punched in the face say, don't hit those, you can't say nothing to them N-words. Can't call them an N-word to the face. They'll hit you in your face. You know how much dental work I had to go through to get this doggone jawline back and right? Yeah, that's what you get. Now, again, because I don't want to get too far off the subject because y'all clearly see that I can ramble, all right? Bring this back to this North Lauderdale, Florida Walmart case. The comparison is powerful because both of these cases, whether we talking about that Missouri case and this Walmart case, happened in Walmart parking lots. Arguments leading to killings over parking spaces. However, one situation, a grown man claimed that he feared another 71-year-old elderly man who was unarmed because the man got too close, but that's not the same as a woman claiming she feared a grown man who allegedly kept coming too close to her after warnings. That doesn't mean every woman automatically wins self-defense and every man automatically is a deadly threat, but it does mean the jury is allowed to look at the physical reality of the confrontation. Who's stronger? Who's more capable of inflicting harm? Who followed whom? Who escalated? Who introduced the gun? Who had the ability to disengage? Who actually was facing an imminent threat? And in the Johnson case, the jury apparently didn't believe this fear was reasonable, and that's why the self-defense argument didn't carry the day. And in the Florida case, the question is still the same. At the moment this woman fired, would a reasonable person in her position have believed? Somebody type believe. Would a reasonable person have believed that deadly force was necessary to prevent her death or great bodily harm? And if there was a meaningful man versus woman physical disparity, a jury may see fear very differently than they saw in that Johnson case. That's not politics, and that's not hypocrisy. That's reasonableness. You understand what I'm saying? That's reasonableness. Okay? Now, that being the case, what stands out to me in this video, and I'm gonna run this video back again because I want you all to see it, because you all may not have seen this. I got one. Check this out. Fair use.
Back up. Video shows a woman in North Lauderdale, Florida, shooting and killing a man outside of a Walmart after a parking dispute.
Walk away, the woman says in this very short cell phone video that ends. We're now seeing what happened in the minutes prior. Take a look at this dash cam video. That's the woman with the gun on the left, getting out of her car, holding a phone in her left hand and a gun in her right. A witness tells 7 News that moments before this, she'd gotten into an argument over that space with the man we see in that cell phone video. In fact, the witness says the man parked his white SUV like this, blocking the space, but minutes later he moved. She then pulls into the space, and according to the witness, she spoke briefly to the people in that white Honda.
She's speaking to the people in the car. She's not talking to him. She's speaking to the people in the car. They told her that that man was still in there, and that looks like a white person to me, or maybe a white Latina. The bottom line is she's speaking to the people in the car. She's not talking to the guy. So when the lady earlier said she's mouthing off, she's not even talking to the guy. Okay? So let's keep listening.
Who the witness says told her the man was still in the parking lot. Then you see him, 62-year-old Bart DeGuglielmo, walking up to her. She points the gun, and for at least 30 seconds, they exchange words. At one point, he follows her as she walks around another car, still pointing the gun. He appears to walk away, but immediately comes back, and she fires. All this time, it appears she's still on the phone. He would later die at the hospital. Deputies arrived roughly 3 minutes after the shooting, and that woman, we're told, is claiming self-defense.
Now, I would say free her, but it seems like she's already free. They just detained her and immediately released her after questioning her and her claiming self-defense, and I guess someone showed them this video. The dude literally brought this onto himself, and this is fully self-defense. If someone says it isn't, I don't know what their issue is. There's got to be some sort of...
This is how he had parked his car to block the parking space, okay?
The guy is blocking her with his car from getting into spaces. That is already like entrapment of some sort. And then as she's outside of the car, speaking on the phone with the police. And
now, for you all who say she should have turned around and run, I want you to look at the bottom of this video. You see those shoes that she had? How far was she going that hot Florida pavement with those flip-flops on or whatever, those slides on? Sometimes running is not available, but I did see she backed up. Let's keep listening.
Speaking with the people inside of the car, he literally goes out of his way to approach her. Yeah, he's nuts. And then keeps on following her. And she says, yo, don't do that. Don't keep on following me. Keeps doing it. Gets shot. What do you expect? Especially as a grown man? Do you think you can just approach women like that in this day and age? Nah, get out of here.
Mm-hmm. All right. So again, let me I'm gonna give you an honest take on what I see. Because one thing, you know, that does stand out publicly, and I think everybody's comment is according to the video footage and what we see in the description circulating online, she appears to be moving away from him and he continues to be moving forward. We all can agree with that, right? And it's going on for like 30 seconds. We're not talking about a 3-second interval. Okay. And if a jury concludes that he knowingly continued advancing after seeing the gun pointed at him and after hearing warnings, that fact would likely help the defense, because at that point the defense will argue that this wasn't just an argument. You have a man refusing to disengage from a conflict with a woman, ignoring warnings, closing distance, forcing her to make split-second decisions. Right now, the evidence we need most is the evidence from the final few seconds before the shoot was fired. Now, that's where the case will be won or lost. But the real legal question at what was happening at the exact moment she fired. We look at the videos, but we don't have the full story. That's the question. And that's where the case lives, and everything else feeds into that moment. Now, again, the fact that this started over a parking space, it doesn't automatically make it murder. The fact that he may be unarmed or may have been unarmed, it doesn't automatically make it murder. The fact that she may have been backing away doesn't automatically make it self-defense. Okay, the fact that she had a gun displayed doesn't automatically make it justified. The fact that he may have kept approaching doesn't automatically end the case. And the fact that Florida has standing ground doesn't automatically mean she walks free. The law asks very narrow questions. Was a deadly force reasonable and necessary at the moment the deadly force was used? The cops got there in 3 minutes. What if we learned that the cop was walking towards her and she saw the police officer, or the police officer was visible, and you saw the police officer on the scene? Would it be reasonable then to discharge your firearm when you know the cop is right there? I don't know. These are all facts. Now, if I were analyzing this case as a trial lawyer, I wouldn't be nearly as confident as you people online. Somebody type "you people" in the chat room. I wouldn't say she clearly is guilty based on what we know right now. And I wouldn't say she's clearly justified either. What I would say is this: she has a real solid self-defense argument, but the strength of the argument depends entirely on the facts we may not have yet. And that's the difference between social media commentary and trial lawyer analysis. Social media wants a verdict immediately. Trial lawyers know better. A case like this can turn on the camera angle. It can turn on a missing second, a witness statement, a warning. Okay? Who was moving forward? Who was moving backward? Was something said? Did somebody reach? Was there a pause? Some audio that we haven't heard? One frame in the video before the shot? That's why I wouldn't be looking at this case emotionally. I'd be looking at it forensically. Now, I want to make sure I give a shout out to everybody who's contributed to the Super Chats, the Cash App, and the PayPal. What I want to do at this time first, though, is, I have a few more things to say, but I want to take the time to acknowledge the real MVPs who hung with me for this 3-hour odyssey. And I just want to appreciate you guys. I hope you all learned something. I try to do this as a labor of love, and that's why it's so intensive. But I hope that you learned something. I hope you all have calmed down. Okay? The facts are not all in. There's a lot going on. It looks like what it looks like. Maybe it'll play out like that, but we don't know. Now, I want to give a big shout out to Gen X Warrior. Brother Spurling and sister appear to be trying to de-escalate and back away, but dude kept advancing towards her. However, you're right. Killing someone over a parking spot is plumb stupid. Yeah, that's pretty stupid. And you're right. All of that is right. Thank you so much, Gen X Warrior. I appreciate that. The Ed Warren, the realest brother on social media space. Man, good looking out, brother. All praises go to God. I thank the Lord for giving me the strength to be honest in the face of all this ridicule. But I'm going to keep on telling the truth because I'm more concerned about my legacy than what you folk think about me. I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to tell the truth because the truth is going to outlast me and all the rest of y'all. And I'm not going to be one of these people out here who just trying to get likes and giggles and people that I don't need your pat on your back. I don't even like y'all enough for y'all to want your approval. I'm going to keep on telling the truth. But anyway, Gen X Boomer, realistically, this is Kyle territory. He knows she had a gun. He keeps getting close and acting weird. She's clean in my book. By the way, I'm a MAGA for life. Shout out to you. Thank you so much, Gen X Boomer. I appreciate you. Child ran boy down, so this must be okay. Well, when Child ran him down, first of all, in the state of South Carolina, it's not illegal to pursue somebody like that. Okay. And the reason that Child didn't go to jail is because there were two people, one person that testified, and that one person that testified said that the young boy in South Carolina, Cyrus, pulled the pistol on him and shot and was about to shoot him. Okay. And if you look at the actual, first of all, he's 14 years old with a shooting. He didn't have a gun, it'd be a different argument. Okay. It'd have been a whole different argument, but he had a deadly weapon. What are you supposed to do in that moment? If you see somebody aiming a pistol at your son, and keep in mind, he wasn't shot in the back, he was shot in the side, according to the testimony and the forensic testimony. He wasn't shot in the back, he was shot in the side. Imagine that. You see somebody pointing the gun at your son, right? And you shoot him in the side. That's a different scenario than shooting him in the back. Again, you have a right to feel how you want to feel, but you can't change the facts. Again, there's no reason for a 14-year-old boy to have a pistol. Do you know that the average shooting victim in Columbia, South Carolina is 19? Do you think that the 5 jurors, because it was 12 jurors, 5 of them were black, and all of them found Rick Child not guilty? So what does that tell you about the mindset of the black people, in that they are tired? They are tired of young people coming up dead from shootings. What does that tell you? Now, you could be mad at me for telling you the facts, but they acquitted him. And there was 5 black jurors. Any one of them could have held out, and he could have got manslaughter, a lesser included charge, but they didn't. They acquitted him because the black people in South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, are tired of these young fools with guns. That's what it is. And you don't have to like what I'm saying, but this is what's going on all across America. People are tired of these young fools with guns. I hate to say it. Rest in peace to the little boy Cyrus, but there's no way a 14-year-old child should be running around with a semi-automatic pistol. You think that's safe? Huh? Do you think it's safe? Huh? Do you want let's just give all the 14-year-olds, let's go to the middle school and give all the 14-year-olds pistols. Let's see how safe society is after a while. You tell me. Somebody type coon in the chat room. Somebody type bougie in the chat room. Somebody type boule in the chat room. What we're going to do, all you black people who disagree, who think that this was a bad shoot, he had no, I want you to give all the 14-year-old guns in your neighborhood, for all the 14-year-olds in your neighborhood, give them pistols fully loaded. I want hollow points for each one of them. Go pass them out. Pull up the truck, pass them out like ice cream cones. All right? That's what I want you to do. I want you to do. If you feel like it was, go ahead and do it. Let's see what happens. And then you begin, and when you decide no otherwise, now you see how the black jurors in Columbia, South Carolina felt. You understand what I'm saying? Go ahead. Let's do it. Let's see what happened. Now, y'all bold, because see, I'm from South Central LA. I know what it's like to be around a bunch of young people with semi-automatic pistols acting crazy. You bet it was the murder capital of America. But the whole time I was there, somebody typed whole time. I know what it's like. They will find any reason to shoot you. It's the home of the drive-by. So you can't tell me anything about what life growing up in an ultra-violent environment is like. I know what it's like. And I don't want that for myself or anywhere else. And I understand how those black jurors, those 5 black jurors in that South Carolina jury felt about Cyrus Belton and Rick Child. I understand exactly how they felt. They're tired of it. And anybody who's supporting it, you're just part of that degenerate culture. And on top of that, you've made your way to it's a black thing, it's an Asian thing. So you've made your way to your racial corner, and you just screaming at the referee. Bad call, ref, bad call. That's it. But you're not even using common sense. Again, do you want a bunch of 14-year-old freshly testosterone boys running around with semi-automatic pistols? You ask yourself that question, and then you'll understand how the jury felt. Okay, but anyway, thank you so much, Black Sand. I appreciate you. It's not okay. It's not okay. But anyway, thank you so much, Brother D. I really appreciate your unvarnished legal analysis. Blaming racism for everything is a waste of time. This was just 2 sensitive people making bad decisions on both. That's it. That's all I got. Yeah, race is always going to be a part, just like the weather. When you talk about something traumatic that you dealt with, like a car accident or a killing, what was the weather out like? It was rainy. Well, did the rain make you sell that crack? No, I was gonna do it anyway. Oh, okay. So it wasn't the rain. All right. Well, what happened? What you do? Yeah, man, I end up robbing my neighbor for their VCRs and their TVs, and they gave me 25 years. Well, what was the weather like? It was sunny outside. Did the sun make you do it? No, I just wanted to go ahead and get me some new Jordans. Oh, damn. You see what I'm saying? That's what racism is. It's always going to be around. You can always use it as an excuse of why you influence. But what we have to do is narrow this thing down so we can begin to learn and do. And it's not black and white. All of y'all, all of you America, all you people play the race game. It's our favorite sport. We find enjoyment in it. We talk about it. We argue about it. We say it doesn't exist. And then we turn around, same people to say racism don't exist, go home and call somebody N-word and then lay up with their black wife. You see what I'm saying? This is how crazy we are here in the United States about race. Don't be fooled. We good people. We wonderful people, but we are definitely all racist. You can't be here 500 years and not be touched by a little racism. But anyway, thank you so much. Big J, not trying to make it about race, but it ain't funny how white people try to analyze every nook and cranny of the law when it's a white person on the bad end of the stick. I get that, brother. But look at all the black people saying, she justified. You don't even know. You don't even have all the facts yet. You said them, not you, but people don't. So everybody goes to their racial corners. This is what we do in America. It's our sport. When are y'all going to really understand what I'm trying to say? We enjoy it. Our team just got a body. Oh man, is we gonna get off free? But let's yell at the refs. Let's yell at the police. Let's see if we can not get them charged. This is what we do. This is what we've been doing. But anyway, let's keep it pushing. Thank you so much, Big J. Black Sam making them mad and getting paid. Praise the Lord. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. Maul, be crazy. I'm with you when you're right, brother. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And who else do we have in here? Quiet Strength. We only get one life. Sometimes you have to just take an L and go home. But is not fighting over a parking space in Walmart, is that really taking an L? Is that really taking? Let me tell you about an L. So yesterday, I was in my jiu-jitsu class, and there's this black belt. And I've been rolling with him for about 4 years. And he'd be choking the shit out of me. I mean, just big, strong white boy, just choking the shit out of me every time. I mean, I'm big and he big too, but he's a black belt. And I started rolling with him when I was a white belt. And now I'm a purple belt. And I mean, he just choked the strong ass Texas white boy, red, like half redneck, half hillbilly, strong as hell. Choked the shit out of me every damn day. I ain't want to roll with him. I'd be like, I'm gonna go roll with somebody. I'm gonna roll with the kids and the white belts today, sir. No thanks. Choke the shit out of me. So yesterday was the first time. Yesterday I got his ass. What I did was I got him in side control. Okay. And then I put my gi in my mouth like that. And I held it. And then I got my cross face and my underhook right there, with the cable grip right there. And then when he was trying to do that, I just snuck it on him. Bam. And then I got that gi choke. And then I put my head north-south, choked the shit out. He tapped. I made his big ass tap. I was so proud of myself. That was yesterday. Choked the shit out. I told my kid, hey, baby, yeah, I choked the black belt today. Yeah. Told my son, I told my baby boy, I choked the black belt today. I was happy as hell. Choked the shit out. I'm like, man, I ain't never gonna let these black belts beat me ever again. I'm talking stuff in my own head. Okay, that was a win. I saw him today. I went back today because I need this, right? I went back today. I seen him. I said, hey, what's up, man? And I'll be real humble. Hey, nice to meet you. I get to start crying like a little gay sugar. Nice to meet you. Thank you. Thank you so much for the role. You're such great. Apped out and beat him and choked him out, right? But anyway, so I went back today because I'm feeling myself, right? I got that win. I mean, if you beating black belts, you a purple belt, one stripe, you supposed to beat everybody. You know what I'm saying? And he's not the first black belt I beat, but that was a hard one. But anyway, so I went in today. It's we roll 5-minute rounds. We talking about round 6. It's really like 2 minutes left on the clock. So we shouldn't be rolling another round. If the round is 5 minutes, why would you keep us here after time? We got to go, sir. We have things to do. Tomorrow's a holiday. But either way, he said 1 more round. Okay, so I'm feeling myself. So here comes this brown belt. 4 stripe. Italian dude. Okay. East New York. Tough as hell. Okay. You know, if you ever looked at an Italian, they not quite white. I don't know if y'all have ever, I know we try to categorize Italians as white, but they're not quite white. Anyway, I beat him before. So, held him inside control in front of the professor. Okay. Done all that before. Bottom line is, look, you know, I'm a little overconfident. Boom. And I done already beat him before. I done beat a black belt before. I'm feeling myself. Nevertheless, we rolling. We in the mix of the roll. I end up, he tries to put me in closed guard. I wrap around. I take his back. I'm about to choke him. I'm sitting on his back, but I forgot to put my hooks in. Okay, that's when you put your hooks in. I forgot to. This little Italian, this strong Italian dude scooped me up, flipped my big ass over. Okay, and now I'm on my back and he jumps. Now I'm on my back and he's jumping. I got him in half guard. He choked the shit out. I had a tap. Okay, that's an L. Okay, that's an L. Somebody type L. Uncle D took an L today. That's an L. Getting in an argument and deciding to disengage because of a doggone parking lot, a space at Walmart. That is not an L. Okay, that is something you don't even think about. Okay, but what I'm gonna be thinking about was that ass whooping. My ass got choked today. That's a L. Okay, that's a guy. I'm feeling I beat the black belt yesterday. How a brown belt supposed to beat me? That is not what's in the book. That's a L. You understand what I'm talking about? Thank you so much, Quiet Straight. But that losing a fight over a parking lot and having to go somewhere else and say you sorry is not a damn L. Walk away. Somebody type walk away. Okay, are we clear? Did y'all? I know it took me a while to get that point. Okay, but L's. There's a difference between a real L and a fake L. I took a real, choked the shit out of me. I'm tapping, my wife looking, my old baby son looking. Ain't nothing I can say, but I'm gonna get the small piece of chicken tonight. You understand? L. Somebody type L in the chat room. Anyway, shout out to Black Man. She needs a lawyer and to never speak on it to anyone. She better have her story right, change the colors around, and then in gender. Yeah, what she needs to do is not say anything, no public, nothing. Don't say nothing. Don't go have a press conference. Shut your mouth. Anyway, always cooking. Dennis, you have a vid of her car being blocked. Yeah, I just put it up, brother. Thank you so much. To all the people still saying that she's wrong, y'all are forgetting that he waited for her to come out the store. That's true. And she had every right. Yeah, but why did she get out the car then? She waited for you to come out, if he waited for her to come out the store and she managed to get in her car, why did she then exit her car with the gun? You see, we have questions. If you are in your car, why not just drive off? You see what I'm saying? He went and smoked a cigarette and she went in the store. He came back or she got back in the car and then got out the car. These are the facts. Bro, we need more investigation. You understand? You see how that changes the scenario? That means that she then went forth and looked for the confrontation. Think about this. And see, Big J, this is why we need to know. We don't know. If you have a argument with somebody, you park the car, you go in the store, then you come back to your car and somebody next to the car, as you getting in your car, says, hey, you know that dude is still here. You know he's still here. And then you go in the car and get back out the car and you talking to the people and whipping your head around like that. And then the dude runs up on you like, what's up? You could have got in your car and left. See, I don't know what the facts are. Okay, black people, white people, I don't know what the facts are. This thing, the body's not even cold. This is only 2-3 days old. They ain't even had the funeral yet. You understand? We don't know the fact. But what would that would change the scenario significantly, wouldn't it, Big J? Wouldn't that change the scenario? Now it's like, oh, she came back for the confrontation. She got in her car, got out her car with the gun. She could have gotten her car and drove on back to her little apartment in Fort Lauderdale somewhere. But that's not what she did. Okay? If that's the scenario, I don't know. Somebody type Uncle D don't know in the chat room. Somebody type let the investigation play out. Okay? But anyway, shout out to you, man. Faquan DTM, thank you so much. Who else we got in? Uncle D, didn't you say don't call you for a criminal defense? Don't ever. Are you transferring your expedition? Don't ever call me for a criminal defense. Where is my number at? Call me. Let me see where it's at. See that right there across the top of the screen? injured, car wreck, call me 1-866-LAW-BIG. That's the only reason any one of y'all can call. The only reason I'm doing this is because I see there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of people trying to spread conflict. There's a lot of people trying to capitalize on conflict, and we don't need that right now in America. We have to live here. We got enough people that don't like us that we don't need to be playing the same old race game that we've been playing and up to each other's throats and anger. We don't need to do it. So I'm really doing this as a public service announcement. All right, and that's why my whole thing on this is calm down. It's too serious. We have had so much racial animosity in this country, whether we talk about 1919, whether we talking about Rosewood, little white girl lied on some black people and got the whole town burnt down. Another situation, Tulsa, Oklahoma, little white girl embellished some facts and got the whole town burnt down. We don't need any more lies. We don't need any more racial animosity. And it's a lot of people, black people and white people, that don't like themselves, that are angry with their own lives and want to see everybody else angry and burn down the country. I don't want that. Okay, I'm just saying, I love my life. My life is great. You understand? I want to keep it going. I love America. You understand? Look, hey, I love it. Okay, it's working for me, and for the vast majority of Americans, it's working for them too. Shout out to Coach Ralph. So what I want to do is keep this thing going so that my children, when they grow up, they can have a peaceful first world nation to live in that's not full of hate and crazy people mad for no reason at all. So this is just me throwing some cold water, okay, putting that ice cold truth on this hot flame of conflict and lies and misinformation. That's it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Trill Team 6. Let's move on. Beauty, Bo Cannon, thanks for clarifying the law in the case. Appreciate your willingness to teach. Hey, man, I enjoy it, man. Thank you so much. Few Quan, thank you for the $5 super sticker. Who else we got? Griff 6159. Thank you for the $10 super sticker. Stupid. Thank you, Kevin Black, ATL. Appreciate you. Risk11. Thank you for the $10. Frozen 6. Learn and keep teaching. Good looking out, Pratt. First time turning in from my hotel. I appreciate your rationale, analytic approach. All the best. Thank you, Boeing 757 pilot. Appreciate you. All right. Who else we got? Few Quan. Thank you for the $5 again, my man. Torrin Jones, no duty to retreat here in Florida. That's actually right. Yeah, but that doesn't mean you have a duty to shoot somebody. You have to have, believe you're in serious bodily injury or risk of serious bodily injury or bodily harm. He has been trained to disarm that what he want. Okay, so that's a good thought too. He's a veteran, right? So what if he was trying to get close enough to her to disarm her and maybe use it? We don't know. We don't know what his intentions are because he's no longer with us, but it was still stupid. It was a stupid encounter. All right. You can't do that in the real world. It's not a war zone. Shout out to Few Quan. Thank you for the $5. Also, Black Sand, we need the truth. Thank you for the great show. I appreciate you. Teach Coach, thanks for the informative insight and breakdown. I appreciate you, family. And then also, if she's not indicted, can his family file civil suit? Here's the thing. That's what I said. Florida has that immunity clause, which means that if she's not indicted, she can't be indicted criminally and she can't be sued civilly for this action if her self-defense was justified. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, Florida, yeah, they protect the shooters in Florida. I want y'all to think about that. Busy Boss Lady 6345, thank you for the $9.99. I appreciate that. All right. Look, man, let's I got a couple more things to say. So here's where I'm gonna land this plane, okay? As of today, and did you all enjoy this? Was this helpful? Because I think the law is pretty boring. My wife would tell you I don't even want to talk about the law with her, okay? And she's a lawyer, okay? But I think you all are enjoying these lessons in self-defense. Is that fair to say? Is it informative? Because I do my best to try to make it as interesting as possible, and I say crazy things. And of course, you know, I conduct myself in this way because, as I know, 3 hours of listening to a middle-aged man in a blue sport coat is not interesting in itself. But I try to bring the information. Is it interesting? Are you learning? And that's the most important thing. Are you learning something new, that I help dispel some misunderstandings, because that's the sort of thing that keeps me going. All right. Because, I just think that's important, as a public service, so if you enjoy that, just type yes in the chat room. But in the middle, anyway, yeah. And if anything you would like to suggest, you want me to talk about, let me know. Now, look, the reporting said, and shout out to Tech Coach. The reporting said that this lady, she was detained, okay, but she wasn't arrested on the scene. She remained there. She cooperated with the cops. She claimed self-defense, and the case is expected to be reviewed by the state attorney's office after the homicide detectives complete their investigation. And people reported that the shooting was captured on video. We saw it. Bart Digliamo, he stepped toward her before she fired, and the woman waited for the police to arrive. And now, again, that doesn't mean the case is over. It doesn't mean that she can't be charged. It doesn't mean that the state attorney can't come back later and say, well, we reviewed the video and we talked to some witnesses and reviewed some forensic evidence, and we don't think it was a lawful self-defense. They can still do that. But let me say this, it does tell us something important, okay? At least at the scene, after questioning her and reviewing what they had available, the law enforcement didn't immediately treat this like an obvious murder case, because otherwise she'd be booked right now. You can go to the Broward County website and look at a booking photo, okay? And again, that reminds me of what originally happened in the George Zimmerman case. Remember, George Zimmerman wasn't immediately arrested after he shot Trayvon Martin. The police initially released him after questioning, and the explanation given at the time was that they didn't have evidence to refute his self-defense claim. And the case later exploded nationally, and there was a huge amount of public pressure, and Zimmerman was eventually charged with second-degree murder by a special prosecutor before being acquitted at trial. Now, let's be clear. This case isn't George Zimmerman or Trayvon Martin. The facts are different, okay? The physical positioning is different, and the legal analysis will have to stand on its own. But the lesson is the same, okay? Early law enforcement decisions don't always end the matter. Sometimes the police decline to arrest because the facts appear to support self-defense. Sometimes public pressure changes the posture of the case. Sometimes prosecutors later decide to file charges. Sometimes they don't. And that's why people need to slow down and calm down. Okay? Zimmerman, that case is one of the reasons a jury could accept self-defense, was because at the critical moment, the defense argued that Zimmerman was on his back and Trayvon Martin was on top. The witness, John Good, testified to that. Okay? He was getting pounded out, ground and pound. Okay? All right? And that's why the Zimmerman case didn't create some broad, or should I say, it didn't create some broad rule that an armed person can shoot an unarmed person anytime there's a confrontation. That's not the law. And the law isn't saying, but again, the law isn't saying that he had a gun and Trayvon didn't, so the gun wins. It's not that, okay? Right? And you need to understand something. The law, that's the same principle people need to understand in this Walmart case. The question isn't simply, was Mr. Bart unarmed? The question isn't simply, was the lady armed? Okay? The question isn't, did somebody die? The question is, what was happening at the moment she fired? Was she backing away? Did she warn him? Was she reasonably afraid of imminent death or great bodily harm? That's the legal question. And that's why I'm asking the public not to jump to conclusions. Don't let the crazy people online gas you up. Don't let people turn this into a race war before the investigation is complete. And don't let people convince you that because a white man is dead, it must be murder. Okay? And more, also, don't let people convince you that because a black woman says self-defense, the case is automatically over. Neither side has all the facts. We still need to complete the video. We still need the audio. We still need to know what happened beforehand. Where's the timeline? What happened after the vehicles were parked? Who went where? He went to smoke a cigarette. She went into the store. Okay, if that's the case, when she came back out, she went back in her car and she got a pistol, talked to the people next to her vehicle with the pistol in hand. Why didn't she just go home? He went and smoked a cigarette. Why did he come back over to confront her? Why didn't he just go home? Again, that sounds pretty stupid. They could have just went home, right? And lived. But we're not concerned about all that. We're concerned about the moment. Somebody type moment. We're talking about the moment leading up to the shooting or the use of deadly force. Keep that in mind. Okay? If he had stopped advancing and she fired, maybe a different situation. If he escalated, if her fear was reasonable, different situation. That's for the state attorney to find out. So right now, my position is simple. The police didn't immediately arrest her based on the facts reported so far that suggests they saw at least enough self-defense evidence to slow the case down, but that doesn't mean the case is finished. This is preliminary. This isn't a final word. Let the investigation happen. Let the state attorney review the case, and then we can have a serious legal conversation based on the evidence, not emotion. Because in a case like this, when you have white and black, and you have the difference between justified self-defense and criminal homicide, all that comes down to a few seconds, and we just don't know. Now, let me say this, because I have to. Were you all here when I talked about all those people who got shot in the Walmart parking lots and the different parking lots around America? Let me just say, nobody should ever get shot over a parking lot, right? And nobody should ever have to shoot somebody over a parking spot. That's just honesty. This whole situation is ridiculous from the top to the bottom. You got grown people involved in it. And whatever you think the victim did wrong, whatever you think he said, however aggressive you think he was, whatever role you think he played in escalating the situation, he paid the ultimate price because he is dead. And he is gone. Okay. So at a certain point, there is no need to keep bashing this man like he's still here to defend himself. He paid with his life. And there's no greater payment than that. But this black woman who fired this shot is still above ground. And now her life may be in the hands of a prosecutor or an investigator or a judge, and maybe eventually a jury. And that is something people don't think about when they start yelling, stand your ground, from the comments section. Even if she had a legitimate self-defense argument, that doesn't mean this is going to be easy. That doesn't mean this is going to be cheap. That doesn't mean she just goes home and her life goes back to normal for the next several months or maybe years. Her name, her freedom, her money, her reputation, and her future are going to be all tied up with the criminal justice system. And all of these possible defenses we're talking about, stand your ground and self-defense, reasonable fear of imminent threat, physical disparity, him advancing, her backing away, all that depends on the evidence. And it also depends on her ability to secure competent legal representation. And in a case like this, it becomes, when you talk about a murder case, it's not cheap. You're looking at anywhere from $100,000 to $250,000 to $500,000 if you start adding up attorney's fees and experts. Nobody's going to do this for free. You couldn't pay me enough money to defend somebody in a criminal. I don't want to be bothered. It's easier ways to make money. But those men who do it and those women who do it, they are very good and they are very expensive on that level. They're going to depend. Those lawyers, this woman's life is dependent on the lawyers, the experts, the investigators, the motions that are filed, the trial preparation, and how far the state wants to take this. So if she doesn't have that kind of money sitting around, she may not be able to put up the house. She may have to empty the retirement account. That 401k is gone. She may have to borrow from family. She may have to sell a whole lot of fish dinners and barbecue sandwiches. Because once the government decides to come after you, the fight itself becomes punishment. Do you understand? All that because she wanted to fight with a man over a parking spot. I want you to listen to your whole 401k is zeroed out because your ego wouldn't let you drive away from a parking spot that you felt entitled to. I want you to think about that now again. The other man is dead. He's paid his price. No more we can do to him. And here's the cold part about it. Even if she has a good defense, nothing is guaranteed. Depending on the jury, depending on the venue, depending on the prosecutor, depending on the judge, depending on the full video, and depending on the witnesses in the background and her background. What if we find out she wasn't supposed to be carrying a firearm? What if we found out she had some prior incidents we don't know about? There could be some serious trouble. She might not get convicted of murder, but unlawful possession of firearm usually gets you about 5 years. We don't know if she had any prior confrontation. We don't know the facts that help or hurt. And people also need to understand something else. Because again, once you get the legal system, they're going to run everything on you. She has a prior here, she has a prior there. And they're going to make the determination whether or not you're a good person that did something bad or whether or not you're a habitual criminal. Because oftentimes these things lead up. I'm just saying, this is what you do. You put your laying hands in the life of the government. You don't want to do it. Somebody type walk away. Even if the prosecutors can't prove the highest charge, murder, second-degree murder, there are lesser included alternative charges in criminal cases. The jury might not convict her of second-degree murder, but they could consider manslaughter or some other lesser included offense, depending on how the case is charged and instructed. There may be firearm-related issues. There may be unlawful possession issues if she's not legally allowed to have a gun. There may be other charges we're not even thinking about yet because we don't have the full facts. So when people say she's going to walk or she's going to prison, y'all are talking too fast. We don't know yet. And that's why the best advice I can give anyone is simple. Walk away. Unless you are genuinely concerned about the safety of yourself or your family, unless somebody is actively trying to seriously hurt you or take your life, walk away. It's not worth it. Give them the Rolex. Give them the keys to the car. Give them the wallet. Okay? You can replace all that property. You can get another watch and another wallet, another car. You can get another parking space. You can go to another store. Hell, you can call Instacart. You can have Walmart deliver it. You can have Amazon bring it right to the house. But what you can't do is undo a killing. You can't unshoot somebody. You can't get your freedom back once the state decides to make an example out of you. And if you're one of the one who dies, you don't get to come back and explain your side of the story. And this entire situation could have been avoided. That's the part people don't want to sit with. This was a parking space at Walmart, a piece of pavement outside of a billionaire corporation, a multinational corporation, a corporation that will hose that blood off the ground the same night and open back up the next morning. Somebody parking in that parking space right now. Don't even know you died right there. Don't even know you shot somebody right there. You're never going to be able to put a memorial up of yourself because it's private property. And Walmart is going to keep making money. The parking lot is still going to be full. People are still going to be fighting over parking spaces. And one person is dead while another person might spend the next several years trying to stay out of prison. And for everybody playing the racial bowl game. I know it's fun. This is what we do. We love that here in America. People are running into their racial corners, calling plays, trying to influence the referee and / judges. I mean, the legal system. But I just showed you dozens of cases where people died over parking spots and parking lots and stupid driving disputes. And many of those cases involve people of the same race or nothing to do with racial or storyline. People are just trying to force that into this case. You see? If race wasn't involved in it, nobody made this a national racial referendum. Nobody turned into a team sport. But the moment it's a black woman or a black person and a white person, all right, now everybody has to put on a jersey and pick a side. And that's not serious. That's tribalism. And tribalism makes people stupid. And now I heard there's this lawyer in Florida who called this a free kill. I would never say something like that. I think that is reckless and crude and disrespectful. And see, that's what I think. I think that's what that young lawyer said. I think it's very disrespectful. I think, somebody dead. Now, I may say a situation was stupid, and I'll say both parties made stupid decisions. I may say the public is acting stupid by turning everything into race before the investigation is complete, but I would not reduce a dead man to the phrase like free kill. And I think that's unfortunate because the person died and his family is grieving. His grandchildren are going to hear that, and his daughter is going to hear that. And the woman who shot him may be facing a fight for her life. So nothing about this is free. So what I'm trying to explain to you all in my last few minutes here is simple. Walk away. Don't let pride put you in prison. Don't let disrespect put you in a casket. And don't let a parking spot turn you into a defendant or a corpse, because at the end of the day, Walmart still is going to be open and the parking lot is still going to be there. And the only people who will truly pay are the dead man and the shooter and the families left behind. Again, walk away. Sometimes walking away starts with saying something you don't even believe. My bad. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, ma'am. Go ahead. You got it. I'll find another one. Even if you weren't wrong, even if you were there first, even if they were the one acting stupid first, even if they were the one who came at you sideways, say whatever you need to say to get out that conflict alive and free. Because being right in a parking lot dispute doesn't matter if you end up dead. And being right doesn't matter if you end up fighting a murder charge for the next 3-4 years. Let me run this back to you all. If you are genuinely concerned about the safety of yourself or your family, unless somebody is actively trying to seriously hurt you or take your life, walk away. Apologize and walk away. Let them win. Let them have that parking space. Let them in. They cut you off. Let them go on. Let them have the last word. Let them feel big for 30 seconds. It does not matter. You can't undo a killing. You can't unshoot somebody. You can't get your freedom back once the state decides to make an example out of you. And if you're the one who dies, you don't get to come back and explain what happened. I appreciate you all. This is Uncle D, as I always said this time. I'm out.
Dennis Spurling Podcast. Hit the like button, subscribe.